again with the adorable blue model, and I am determined to read you some good, cozy stories tonight. I don't know why I wanted to, but some people wanted that. Who am I to deny you all of cozy comfort? Now, let me go quickly shout out to the server and I'll get right to it, Okay? There. Hi. For this wonderful, cozy little stream that's very reminiscent of what I used to stream, which was primarily the reading of cozy stories, because that is honestly what made me the happiest to do for a long while. We'll be reading you some wonderful fairy tales, goodnight stories, and all manner of wonderful coziness tonight. I may have to mute at several points during the stream because one of my family members is awake right now, and to put it real frank, they're either quiet or they're very loud. It's interesting, you can say, but I'll be reading you some wonderful things tonight, and I hope that you can have a great, cozy rest, okay? A story? Yeah, story. Bedtime stories. I don't really know what I'll be reading tonight below, but I have a whole list, and I asked one of those things in my browser, I think it's called Copilot on Edge, no idea, but it couldn't really generate me a good list of all of them, so I think I may have to manually type it out, and that's going to take me a minute, because there are a lot of stories on this page. Like, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, Paul Bunyan, Pumpkin Glory, whoa, Old British Literature, The Dragon's Teeth, The Coming of the King, Sea Mermaid, Good boy, good boy, good boy, Pickle, or Twisted. And hi, Fofa, how are you doing tonight? How was Cafe Cozy Time? It was actually rather grand. I went there and had a new cookie I baked. This time I put a dark chocolate peanut butter cup on it, and it was very, very tasty. But right now, darling, I am trying to find classic British literature to read for Sweetheart Blow. Dancing Paulette? Oh, yeah. You were supposed to have a wonderful little thing, weren't you, for your adorable little dancing stream, yeah? My oh my. There's so many stories to read, but I don't really know. Cinderella, I think, is French. Snow White is French. Saint George and the Dragon is something. Blue! Welcome in, sweetheart. How are you, my dear? Oh, I do have the Tale of Peter Rabbit. And hi, Bree. Welcome in. How are you, darling? Oh, Winnie the Pooh. I can read that and have a good, cozy time. Share list. I can actually put the list in stream. It's actually less of a list and more of a website I have. So give me just a moment to do that. And in the meantime, Blue, Paulette, Blow, Please tell me how you've been. I'll make a little announcement and slap it there. So, there is the current page I'm on, and yeah. I have so many stories for you all to enjoy, but I don't know which to have, and they're all wonderful and cozy. I, of course, have some very classic ones like The Three Little Pigs, Little Red Riding Hood, The Velveteen Rabbit, Jack and the Beanstalk, The Tale of Peter Rabbit, The Elves and the Shoemaker, The Boogie Beast, which I haven't read, Winnie the Pooh, which seems like it's all a collection of it all, My Father's Dragon, The Tortoise and the Hare, Riki Tiki Tavi, Cinderella, Snow White, St. George and the Dragon. Really? The Gingerbread Man, The Little Thief in the Pantry, The Ugly Duckling, Thumbelina, The Bremen Town Musicians, The Emperor's New Clothes, The Reluctant Dragon, Aesop's Fables, which I remember actually reading in Latin class way back when I was ancient, you know. And by the way, welcome in, darling Nancy. How are you, sweetheart? And Bree, I'm doing absolutely slay today. I didn't really do enough work in my humble opinion, but I feel okay about it because I went out and did a lovely little thing I love doing at this time of year where I go out. It reminds me of fun, happy times I had with a friend, and I ate a delicious cookie I baked, and I read Don the Don, which is surprisingly good. Oh, Aesop's Fables. Would you like me to read a little bit of that for you, sweetheart? I am reading to you, darling Nancy, and my biggest difficulty is what to read. And Blue, how are you? Sweet Blue Silver, you forgot to say, darling. I hope you're cozy. Yeah. But, let's see, Aesop's Fables. You have to remember there's a lot of fables. And hi, Tori, darling. Would you like me to... Oh, what was it? Read you a wonderful story tonight. I'm having the difficult problem of what to read. You want to do Aesop's Fables? Okay. I don't really know which one to read because there are a lot. And my oh my. Because what you don't understand is you have something like 90 to pick from. Moon, I just disable it for the stream because I wanted to make sure I get the happiest and coziest for the night. Oh, let me see. All the titles and forgot them already. That's okay. Here, I'll read you a little synopsis telling you about Aesop's Fables. And hi, Shar, welcome in, sweetheart. How are you, my dear? Aesop was a Greek fabulist, credited with a collection of stories known as Aesop's Fables. We feature them in our fairy tale series. Fables feature an important moral or life lesson that is usually wrapped up in a clever final pronouncement delivered with a proverbial flair. There's a time for work and a time for play. Slow and steady wins the race. Familiarity breeds contempt, and a kindness is never wasted. Though Aesop's own story is a result of myth and legend, it is widely believed that he is a slave from Pythagoras. One of them. It's been a while since I listened to that. And around 600 BC, Aesop lived in the court of King Croesus. After having served many masters as a slave, he shared his wisdom and clever wit by telling humorous tales while serving on several missions at the pleasure of the king. There are over 150 Aesop's fables for you to enjoy. This catalog of fables is accessible from Children's Library. Many of Aesop's fables illustrate the meaning of popular idioms, figurative language, and phrases that can be confusing for children and English language learners. Most of the stories in the collective have wonderful illustrations and are a delight to enjoy with your family. We hope to take the time to share Aesop's fables with your children and grandchildren or favorite nieces and nephews. And several Aesop stories are featured in pre-K Read About Stories and children's stories. And hi, Malk. Welcome in, sweetheart. How are you, my dear? Not feeling the greatest? Okay, sure, okay. Have a head pat. Yeah. I'm not going to quiz you. My memory is too bad to do that. Let me just give you some pats. And sweetheart Moon, how are you tonight? There. I hope you're all doing well, by the way. I'll just click a random image and read you one. Oh, The Lion and the Mouse. It's been a while since I've read this. Oh, you have a headache, sweetheart. I hope that tonight I can alleviate it for you, sweetie. I know you have free emotes to use. It's very wonderful. Also, if any of you are currently in VC with Darling Cinnamon Bun, please tell them that they're greatly loved and enjoyed for who they are. Now, The Lion and the Mouse by Aesop. And hi, Cloaky. Oh, I'm so sad, Fofa. And hi, Cassie. How are you tonight? We're being extra say-so and reading good, cozy nighttime stories. The Lion and the Mouse. 4:44 a.m. My oh my. Now ain't that a kick in the head? Sure, Waffle Cat, I'll take some bread. I'm broke after all, and bread of all kinds is real delicious. There we go. I know. I do. Though I am a little bit picky, as some breads, you know, the real cheap ones have no flavor, no gluten, or made horribly. That's okay, sweet Cassie. And I'm glad you got to debut a new PNG. The Lion and the Mouse by Aesop. A lion lay asleep in the forest, his great head resting on his paws. A timid little mouse came upon him unexpectedly, and in her fright and haste to get away, ran across the lion's nose. Roused from his nap, the lion lay his huge paw angrily on the tiny creature to kill her. "Spare me," begged the poor... No. "Spare me," begged the poor mouse. "Please let me go, and someday I will surely repay you." The lion was much amused to think that a mouse could ever help him, but he was generous and finally let the mouse go. Some days later, while stalking his prey in the forest, the lion was caught in the toils of a hunter's net. Unable to free himself, he filled the forest with his anger, angry roaring. The mouse knew the voice and quickly found the lion struggling in the net. Running to one of the great ropes that bound him, she gnawed it until it parted, and soon the lion was free. You laughed when I said I would repay you," said the mouse. "Now you see that even a mouse can help a lion. A kindness is never wasted." I know. You would? I mean, Sweetheart Chess is doing an audiobook, but I think their approach to do it in the first place. So, it'd be a little bit different for me. Oh my, it's been a long time since I read this one. I remembered this one from Latin class. You know I'm old when I have Latin class. God. But you had a fever and now it's gone. But you're feeling more sick again, sweet Char. Well, if you need to reach out to people, I know you certainly can, sweetheart. Have a kiss. And once you had a tiny loaf that weighed over 4 pounds, super. Oh, that would waffle. That would probably be traditional pumpernickel bread, which is surprisingly dense for its size, isn't it? But to be fair, traditional pumpernickel, not the American kind with chocolate in it. Yeah, they put chocolate in American pumpernickel. Traditional pumpernickel, or pumpernickel, if you want to pronounce it like you're Austrian, takes, I think, a day or two to bake, and is very dense as a result. Also gives you bad gas, hence why in Old German it's translated to devil's farts. I know. And that's your random thing. And that's okay, Brain. Please just rest well and try to fall asleep, okay? And I'm going to do some kisses so you can have a good time. Sweet moon. Also, I hope the audio is okay. I don't want it to be bad or too quiet or too loud. The Fox and the Grapes by Aesop. A fox one day spied a beautiful bunch of ripe grapes hanging from a vine trained along the branches of a tree. The grapes seemed ready to burst with juice, and the fox's mouth watered as he gazed longingly at them. A bunch hung from a high branch, and the fox had to jump for it. The first time he jumped, he missed it by a long way, so he walked off a short distance and took a running leap at it, only to fall short once more, and again he tried, but in vain. Now he sat down and looked at the grapes in disgust. What a fool I am, he said. Here I am wearing myself out to get a bunch of sour grapes that are not worth gaping for. And off he walked, very scornfully. There are many who pretend to despise below that which is beyond their reach. Oh, and just to confirm, Milk, Char, Fofa, and Tiana, Brie, the audio is okay for tonight, yeah? Silo. Welcome in, sweetie, welcome in. How are you, darling? I am currently reading stories, because who doesn't like stories? It's good. Okay. Belling the cat. The young crab and his mother. Okay. Here's this funny sounding one. Here. I'm doing okay today. I had some delicious cookies and now I'm ready to go and read you some cozy stories tonight. I know it's a more variety stream, but hey, I like making you cozy. The Young Crab and His Mother by Aesop. Why in the world would you walk sideways like that? Said the mother crab to her son. You should always walk straight forward with your toes turned out. Show me how to walk, dear mother, answered the little crab obediently. I want to learn. So the old crab tried to walk straight forward, but she could only walk sideways, like her son. And when she wanted to turn her toes out, she tripped and fell on her nose. Do not tell others how to act unless you can set a good example. And the image it shows is of a crab mother dressed in a very 1880s clothing. It's all frilly and pink, so it's quite funny. My only regret is that a lot of these stories aren't really long. So I might go from Aesop's stories to something else. Let me find one. The monkey and the cat. Ooh, the astrologer. And hi, Winter. Welcome in, sweetheart. How are you doing tonight? I'm reading bedtime stories because that's what I'm interested in right now. I hope you're well. Yeah. You can redeem some redeems, sweetheart. I disabled some that might be too interruptive to chat, but it's all good. And yes, I do believe there are some Japanese folktales in here, sweetheart. Yes, bedtime stories. And they're always cozy, and believe it or not, I never actually had any read to me as a child. So, I'm giving you what I never had. There. Some kisses on your forehead and Puppy J-Town. You smell like patchouli, roses, and lavender, all of which are wonderful. And, oh jeepers, you want me to try reading in, okay, I guess I'll go read in Midwest. And Puppy J-Town, oh, there are a few of those on here in Sweet Blow, so I'll go read one, or a few. But Winter, before I forget, how are you, my dear? I hope you're well. And, sweet Winter, I hope you're well too. I always love hearing how you all are. No jeepers. Oh. Yeah. I know. I am doing slay tonight, sweet Puppy J-Town. I had delicious cookie with incredible amounts of dark chocolate chips in it. And I even had a dark chocolate small Reese's peanut butter cup on it too. So it was extra creamy because you know how 325 for about 20 minutes in the oven is so good. And you, J-Town, how are you, my dear? Now jeepers. The Astrologer by Aesop. A man who lived a long time ago believed he could read the future in the stars. He called himself an astrologer and spent his time at night gazing at the sky. One evening he was walking along the open road outside the village. His eyes were fixed on the stars. He thought he saw there at the end of the world was at hand, and when all at once down he went to a hole full of mud and water. There he stood up on his ears in the muddy water, madly clawing at the slippery sides of the hole in an effort to climb out. His cries for help soon brought the villagers running. As they pulled him out of the mud, one of them said, "You pretend to read the future in the stars, yet you fail to see what is at your feet. These may teach you to pay more attention to what is right in front of you, and let the future take care of itself. What use is it, said another, to read the stars when you can't see what's right here in the earth? Take care of the little things and big things that take care of themselves. You have classes tomorrow, but your classroom flooded, so the classes got cancelled. Well, ain't that a kick in the head, Winter? I hope you can rest well, then, sweetheart. And a random thing about astrologers. They're more known as astrologers now, or whatever the hell it is. And no problem, Sweetbreed. Isn't it funny to read it in a good old cozy voice? And hi, Static, sweetheart. How are you, my dear? I hope you're well. An interesting thing, here it is. Astrology. You know, that thing that, near 1 or 2/3 of every, generic coffee drinking woman in her 20s believes in is off by 1. Because way back when it was first invented, they didn't take in astrological drift or stellar drift, so it's moved over by 1. Because you have to remember, it's over 1,000 years and the stars do change, but no, astronomer is more the study of the stars and how exactly they work, whereas astrology is divination of the future, or divination of one's personality through observation of the stars and the planets. And as a Gamney Stan, welcome in, sweetie. This is a little bit different for normal ASMR stream you're probably used to. I'm reading a bunch of bedtime stories. I think soon I'll probably... Oh, let me see if I can find a Japanese one, because Sweetheart Blob requested it. Father Frost. Snow image. I do love snow. Ooh, this is actually a semi-long one. By Anonymous. Okay, I don't know what its country of origin is, but it should be cozy, right? And I don't really care if people enjoy it or not. I'm just going to have a nice, cozy little stream, making some of you real cozy. I know, it really is beautiful, and the clouds tonight have been real cozy. Or, not the clouds, but the stars. They've been rather bright, I must say. But, as Gamney Stan, I hope you're well. Oh, I'm a Pacific Cooler Capri Sun. Yeah. And hi, Sweet Snap. Oh, whoa. Clokey. Thank you for the bits, sweetheart. Feel free to request to redeem, by the way. You get one for 100 bits. UwU. And Sweet Snap, welcome in. And clouds and stars are both nice and very pretty. Indeed, indeed. And baby, good, baby, good, baby, good, baby. Good, baby. And let me go do the good bunny. And then I'll get into reading this and I'll do kisses, okay? Cheer. Clokey. Don't make me blush with your generosity, sweetheart. Otherwise, at, what is it, 1,000 bits, you'll unlock a new emote. Only a few people have a special feat. But, thank you for the bits. My good, good bunny. My soft, fluffy, round-tailed bunny. He's so small, cuddly, and beautiful. Cloaky. Thank you. It means a lot, sweetheart. Thank you. You also get another redeem for that 100. Why don't you just come here, listen and enjoy. I'll wrap you in a warm blanket, give you a nice cup of hot cocoa, and you can fall asleep here tonight, sweetheart, with us, reading wonderful stories and falling asleep by the campfire. Okay, blanket. It's real wonderful too. I even had a weighted blanket. Now, How the Moon Became Beautiful by Anonymous. A wonderful folktale explaining why it's happy and bright, published in Chinese Fables and Folk Stories, 1908, translated by Mary Hayes Davis and Chao Yung. The moon is very beautiful with its round, bright face, which shines with soft, gentle light on all the world of man. But once there was a time when he was not so beautiful as he is now. 6,000 years ago, the face of the moon became changed in a single night. Before that time, his face had been so dark and gloomy that no one liked to look at him, and for this reason he was always very sad. One day he complained to the flowers and to the stars, for they were the only things that would ever look at his face. He said, "I do not like to be the moon. I wish I were a star or a flower. If I were a star, even the smallest one, some great general would care for me. But alas, I am the only moon, and no one cares for me. Or no one likes me. If I could only be a flower and grow in a garden where the beautiful earth women came, they would place me in their hair and praise my fragrance and beauty. Or if I could even grow in the wilderness, no one could see me. The birds would surely come and sing sweet songs for me. But I am the only moon, and no one honors me." Oh, well. Clonky. Thank you very much, sweetheart, for the biddies. It always means a lot. You get 6 free redeems now. And soon I think you'll actually get to the point where you can get the foot emote. The stars answered and said, "We cannot help you. We were born here and cannot leave our places. We never had anyone to help us. We do our duty. We work in all the day and twinkle in the dark night to make the skies more beautiful. But that is all we can do," they added, as they smiled coldly at the sorrowful moon. Then the flowers smiled sweetly and said, "We do not know how we can help you. We live always in one place, in a garden near the most beautiful maiden in all the world, as she is kind to everyone in trouble. We will tell you about her. We love her very much, and she loves us. Her name is ᶠᵉᵐᵒᵒ. My Chinese ain't the greatest." Still the moon was sad. So one evening he went to see the beautiful maiden, ᶠᵉᵐᵒ, and when he saw her, he loved her at once. He said, "Your face is very beautiful. I wish that you would come to me, and that my face would be as your face. Your gentle emotions are gentle and full of grace. Come with me, and we will be as one, and perfect. I know that even the worst people in all the world would have only to look at you, or look at your face. Your emotions are gentle and full of grace." Oh, I already read that part. I know that even the worst people in all the world would only have to look at you and they would love you. Tell me, how did you become so beautiful? I have always lived with those who are gentle and happy, and I believe that is because of beauty and goodness, answered ᶠᵉᵐᵒ. And so the moon went every night to see the maiden. He knocked at her window, and she came, and when he saw how gentle and beautiful she was, his love grew stronger, and he wished more and more to be with her always. One day ᶠᵉᵐᵒ said to her mother, I would like to go to the moon and live always with him. Will you allow me to go? Her mother thought so little of the question that she made no reply, and ᶠᵉᵐᵒ said or told her friends that she was going to be the moon's bride. Isn't this kind of similar to the story of ᶠᵉᵐᵒ? I think so. And my. Thank you again, sweetheart ᶠᵉᵐᵒ. It always means a lot, darling. Thank you. And hi, darling Gabs. How are you tonight, dear? I hope you're well, darling. I'm reading stories. And I don't think I'm speaking fluent Chinese. And hi, Meister, darling. How are you tonight? I don't know how many bits you donated so far. Let's see, 250, 750, 750. So you're at 1,050, I think. Thank you, darling. Always. I think soon you should be able to use the foot. Wind down is watching the stream and the fish of Minecraft. Oh, that would be a calming thing. A fish for swimming in the background. I'm doing well, sweetheart Meister. I'm reading cozy stories tonight, and it's real lovely. I know I need to do a lot of house cleaning too. How many points do you have for VIP, darling ᶠᵉᵐᵒ? I think you already have 9 free redeems racked up. That's quite a lot. Ooh, brownies. When I had my late night trip to my cafe. Ooh, that mint tea is great. By the way, does anyone have a longing for Moroccan mint tea? I love a box. 红宝宝，生日的这点没有 nope. One day read that. I know. Was that a surprise? In a few days she was gone. Her mother searched everywhere but could not find her, and one day ᶠᵉᵐᵒ's friend said, She has gone with the moon, for he asked her many times. A year passed by, and ᶠᵉᵐᵒ, the gentle and beautiful earth maiden, did not return. Then the people said, She is gone forever. She is with the moon. The face of the moon is very beautiful now. It is happy and bright and gives a soft, gentle light to all the world. And there are those who say that the moon is now like ᶠᵉᵐᵒ, who was once the most beautiful of all earth maidens. And hi, darling Koha. How are you, my dear? I hope you're real cozy tonight. I always love having you around. Now, let me try to find another story from Asia, because why not? The east of the sun and west of the moon. This is a long story. Norwegian. Shall we? Would you like a long story, sweethearts? Or do you just want some short ones? You're good, weirdly tired even though it's 11, so you may try to sleep. Okay, go. Please do get your rest. You deserve it all, sweetheart. And reading is going rather cozy. I'm trying to find some cozy. Oh, and welcome in, Monet. Bonjour, bonjour, ma chérie. How are you tonight? Would you all like me to read you a Norwegian story called East of the Sun and West of the Moon? Sure, I'll do a quick purr for you. There we go. That should be cozy. Okay. This title might be too long to add to stream, but oh well. And I do mean too long. Oh yeah, that is far too long. Oh well. Of course, Blow, of course. So this is called East of the Sun and West of the Moon by Peter Christian Abjornsson, or Abjornsson. I can only do Swedish. My apologies. Once upon a time, there was a poor husbandman. We call this a direct translation. Who had so many children that he had much of either food or clothing to give them. Pretty children they all were, but the prettiest was the youngest daughter, who was so lovely that there is no end to her loveliness. So one day, 'twas a Thursday evening late, at the fall of the year, the weather was so wild and rough outside, and it was so cruelly dark, and the rain fell and wind blew, till the walls of the cottage shook again. There they all sat around the fire, busy with this thing and that. But just then, all at once, something gave 3 taps on the window pane. When the father went out to see what was the matter, and when he got out of the doors, they could see but a great big white bear. "Good evening to you," said the white bear. "And same to you," said the man. "Would you give me your youngest daughter? If you will, I'll make you as rich as you are now poor," said the bear. Well, the man would not be at all sorry to be so rich, but he still thought he must have been a bit of talk with his daughter first. Okay. So he went in and told them how there was a great white bear waiting outside, who had given him his word so as to make them all so rich, if he could only have the youngest daughter. The lassie said no outright. Nothing could get her to say anything else, so the man went out and settled with the great white bear that he should come again next Thursday evening and get an answer. Meantime, he talked his daughter over and kept on telling her of all the riches they could get, and how well off she would be herself. And so at last she thought better of it, washed and mended her rags, made herself as smart as she could, and was ready to start. I can't say her packing gave her much trouble. That's nice. Interesting. Next Thursday evening came the white bear to fetch her, and she got upon his back with her bundle, and off they went. So when they had gone a bit of the way, the white bear said, "Are you afraid?" No, she wasn't. "Well, mind and hold tight by my shaggy coat, and then there's nothing to fear." Said the bear. So she rode a long, long way till they came upon a great steep hill. There in the face of it the white bear gave a knock, and a door opened. They came into a castle where there's many rooms lit up, rooms gleaming with silver and gold, and there too was a table ready laid. It was all as grand could be, Then the white bear gave her a silver bell, and if she wanted anything, she only had to ring it, so she would get it all at once. Well, after she had eaten and drunk, the evening wore on. She got sleepy after her journey, and thought she would like to go to bed, so she rang the bell, and she had scarce taken hold of it before she came into a chamber where there was a bed made as fair and as white as any one could wish to sleep in, with silken pillows and curtains and gold fringe. All that was in the room was gold or silver, and when she had gone to bed and put out the light, a man came and laid himself alongside her. That was the great white bear, who threw off his beast shape at night, but she never saw him, for he always came after she had put out the light, and before the day dawned he was up and off again, so things went on happily for a while. But at last she began to get silent and sorrowful, for there she went about her day alone. She longed to go home to see her father, mother, and brothers and sisters. So one day when the white bear asked what it was that she lacked, she said it was so dull and lonely there, how she longed to go home and see her father and mother and brothers and sisters, and that was why she was so sad and sorrowful, because she couldn't get to them. Well, well, said the bear, perhaps there's a cure for all this, but you must promise me one thing, and not to talk alone with your mother, for only the rest are to hear, for she'll take you by the hand and try to lead you into a room alone to talk, but you must mind and not do that, else you'll bring bad luck on both of us. So one Sunday the white bear came and said, now they could set off to see your father and mother. Well, off they started, she sitting on his back. They went far and long, and at last they came to a grand house, where her brothers and sisters were running out of doors to play, and everything was so pretty, 'twas a joy to see. This is where your father and mother live now, said the great white bear, but don't forget what I told you, else you make us both unlucky. No, bless her, she'd not forget, for when she reached the house, the white bear turned right about and left her. Then she went in to see her father and mother. There was such joy, there was no end to it. None of them thought they could thank her enough for all she had done for them. Now she had everything they wished, as good could be, and they all wanted to know how she got on where she lived. Well, she said, it was very good to live where she said she had all she wished, and when she said beside, I don't know. But I don't think any of them had the right end of the stick, or they got too much out of her. But so in the afternoon, after they had done dinner, all happened to be as the white bear said. Her mother wanted to talk to her alone in her bedroom, but she minded what the white bear had said and wouldn't go upstairs. Oh, what will we have to talk about will keep, she said, and put her mother off, but somehow or other her mother got round her at last, and she had told her the whole story. So she said every night when she had gone to bed, a man came and lay beside her as soon as she had put out the light, and how she had never saw him because he was always up and away before the morning dawned, how she had went about woefully and sorrowing, for she had thought she would like to see him, and how all day long she walked about there alone, how dull and dreary and lonesome it was. My, her mother said, it may well be a troll you sleep with, but now I'll teach you a lesson how to set eyes on him. I'll give you a bit of candle so you can carry home in your bosom, just like that while he is asleep, but take care not to drop the towel on him. Yes, she took the candle and hid it in her bosom. As the night drew on, the white bear came and fetched it away, but when they had gone away a bit, the white bear asked if all hadn't happened as he had said. Well, she couldn't say it hadn't. And good night, Bo. May you sleep well and sleep good. Okay? Sleepy is calling for you. Good night, sweet blue. And welcome in, Tater. How are you, my darling? I'm reading cozy stories and hoping they all go cozy and well. Let me go sip water. Well, it's really peppermint tea, so it's not keeping me awake, but it's good for my throat. How are you, darling Tater? I hope you're well. You almost passed out again. Oh, hi, Fiend. How are you, my dear? I hope you're doing well, sweetie. And, Monet, don't you worry about that. You just get your good cozy rest, okay? And Lola, let me give you your kisses. How have you been, darling? There you go. I'm great. I had a delicious cookie and a wonderful dinner, and now I'm just looking forward to tomorrow. Though I do have to work tomorrow and the day after, so I will be busy. UwU. Now, to the rest of the story. And don't forget, if you're nice, I am missing nuggies, but I want nuggies tomorrow. And I think on my way to work tomorrow I can get them, so that's great. Now, back to me reading the story of East of the Sun, West of the Moon. Now, mind, he said, if you had listened to your mother's advice, you might have brought bad luck on us both, and then all that has passed between us will be as nothing. No, she said, she hadn't listened to her mother's advice. So when she reached home and gone to bed, it was the old story over again. There came a man and lay down beside her, but dead at night. And she heard he slept. She got up and struck a candle and lit the struck a light and lit the candle, and the light shined on him, so she saw that he was the loveliest prince one ever set eyes upon. She fell deep in love with him on the spot, and she thought she couldn't live if she didn't give him a kiss there and then. So she went, but as she kissed him, she dropped 3 hot drops of tallow on his shirt, and he woke. What have you done? He cried. Now you have made us both unlucky, for had you held out only for this 1 year, I would have been freed, for I have a stepmother who has bewitched me, so I am a white bear by day and a man by night. But now all ties are snapped between us. Now I must set you off to her. She lives in a castle which stands east of the sun and west of the moon, and there too is a princess, with a nose 3 eels long, and she's the wife I must have now. She wept and took it ill, but there was no help for it. Go he must. Then she asked if she mightn't go with him. No, she mightn't. Tell me the way then, she said. I'll search you out, and surely I may get to leave too. Track translations, I tell you. And hi, Aiden. How are you, my dear? Oh, this is East of the Sun and West of the Moon by Peter Christian Abelsson. Bjornsson or something. It's Norwegian. I don't really know how to say it. But Hi, Aiden, sweetie. How are you, my dear? You want head pats? Okay, okay. I'll give you some as I read. Though don't make me forget. So the next morning she woke up. Both the prince and castle were gone, and she lay on a little green patch in the midst of a gloomy, thick wood, and by her side lay the same bundle of rags she had brought with her from her old home. So when she'd rubbed the sleep out of her eyes, she wept till she was tired. She set out on her way and walked many, many days till she came to a lofty crag. Under it sat an old hag, played with a golden apple, which she tossed about. Here the lassie asked if she knew the way to the prince who lived with his stepmother in the castle that lay east of the sun and west of the moon, who was to marry the princess with a nose 3 eels long. How did you come to know about him? Asked the old hag. Maybe you are the lassie who ought to have had him. Now to scroll down just a little bit, you know. Yes, she was. And, sup? Have a hug, sweetie. Come here. Have a hug. Good job, darling. Good job. Good job. I hope you're resting well, sweetheart. Having a good, cozy time, darling. I'll give you a little kiss. There. And back to some head pats. Yes, she was. So it's you, is it? Said the old hag. Well, all I know about him is he lives in the castle that lies east of the sun and west of the moon, and thither you'll come, late or never, but you may have the loan of my horse, and on him you can ride to my next neighbor. Maybe she'll be able to tell you, and when you get there, just give the horse a switch under the left ear, and beg him to be off home, and stay this golden apple you may take with you. So she got up upon the horse and rode a long, long time till she came to another crag, under which sat another old hag with a gold carding comb. There the lassie asked if she knew the way to the castle that lay east of the sun and west of the moon. And she answered, like the first old hag, that she knew nothing about it, except that it was east of the sun and west of the moon. And thither you'll come, late or never, but you shall have the loan of my horse to the next neighbor. Repeating the same line. I thought I was reading too much. Now I'm going to be sick? No, I don't think that's it. Now let me give you 2 head pats up. Enjoy them. Except that was east of the sun and west of the moon. Thither you'll come, late or never, but you shall have the loan of my horse to the next neighbor. Maybe she'll tell you about it. And when you get there, just switch the horse under the left ear and beg him off to be home. And this old hag gave her a golden carding comb, so that she'd find some use for it, she said. So the lassie got up on the horse and rode a far, far way, in a weary time, and so at last she came to another great crag, under which sat another old hag, spinning a golden spinning wheel. Her too she asked if she knew the way to the prince where the castle that lay east of the sun and west of the moon. So it was the same thing over again. Maybe it's you who ought to have the prince, said the old hag. Yes, it was, but she too didn't know the way a bit better than the other two, east of the sun and west of the moon. That was all. Thither you'll come, late or never, but I'll lend you my horse. And then I think you best ride East Wind and ask him. Maybe he knows his parts, or he can blow you thither. But when you get to him, you need only give the horse a switch under the left ear, and he'll trot home himself. And so too she gave her the golden spinning wheel. Maybe you'll find a use for it, said the old hag. So then on she rode many, many days, weary time, before she got to the East Wind's house. But at last she did reach, and then she asked the East Wind if he could tell her a way to get to the prince, who dwelt east of the sun and west of the moon. Yes, the East Wind had often heard tell of it, the prince in the castle, but he couldn't tell the way, for he had never blown so far. But if you will, I'll go with you to my brother, the West Wind. Maybe he knows, for he's much stronger. So if you will, just get on my back. I'll carry you thither. Yes, she got on his back, and I should just think they went along briskly. So then they got there. They went to the West Wind's house, and the East Wind said the lassie he had brought was the only one who ought to have the prince, who lived in the castle east of the sun and west of the moon. And so she had set out to seek him. And how he had come with her. Would it be glad to know if the West Wind knew how to get to the castle? And hi, darling Trey. How are you tonight, my dear? I hope you're well. Now, let me scroll down and get ready for this. And I'll call you a good puppy in just a moment, sweetheart Twisted. Give me just a second. And your EP, sweetheart Trey. I understand. It's pretty late and you need all your EP sleepy, my dear. There. Let me go sip some tea and get back to the cozy. Oh, hi. Good morning, darling Cap. How are you, my dear? I'm currently reading a long Scandi story, and I'm only halfway through, I think. It's a long one, isn't it? Oh, you're good, darling. I'm glad to hear. Did you rest well and drink enough delicious water and tea? I'm currently drinking peppermint tea, and it's great for my throat. I love it. Nay, said the West Wind, so far I've never blown, but if you will, I'll go with you to her brother, the South Wind, for he's much stronger than either of us, and he has flapped his wings far and wide. Maybe he'll tell you. You can get on my back, and I'll carry you to him. I know, darling Tiana, it's sweetheart Cap, the wonderful darling. Yes, she got on his back, and so they traveled to the South Wind. Weren't so very long on the way, I should think. And there, when they got there, the West Wind asked him if he could tell her the way to the castle that lay east of the sun and west of the moon, for it was she ought to have had the prince who had lived there. You don't say so. That's she, said the South Wind. Well, I have blustered about in most places in my time, but so far I've never blown. But if you will, I'll take you to my brother, the North Wind. He is the oldest and strongest of the whole lot of us. And if you don't know where it is, you'll never find anyone in the world who will tell you. You can get on my back, and I'll carry you thither. Yes, she got on his back, and away he went from his house at a fine rate. And this time, too, she wasn't long on her way. So when they got to the North Wind's house, he was so wild and cross, cold puffs came from a long way off. Blast you both, what do you want? He roared out to them, even so far off that struck them with an icy shiver. Well, said the South Wind, you needn't be so foul-mouthed, for here I am, your brother the South Wind, and here is the lassie who ought to have had the prince, who dwells in the castle that lies east of the sun and west of the moon. And now she wants to ask you if you were ever there, and can you tell her the way, for she would be so glad to find him again. And by the way, Cap, have you read any wonderful stories recently? Has a new volume of your favorite series come out, sweetheart? And you're a functioning member of society today and you didn't sleep in, so now you can't stay up. That's okay, sweet twisted. You good puppy. Good puppy. Good puppy. Good puppy. Good puppy. And so, yes, I know well enough where it is, said the North Wind. Once in my life I blew an aspen leaf thither, but I was so tired I couldn't blow a puff for ever so many days after. But if you really wish to go thither and aren't afraid to come along with me, I'll take you on my back and see if I can blow you thither. Yes, with all of her heart. She must and would go thither if it were possible in any way. And as for fear, however madly he went, she wouldn't be afraid at all. Oh, this month, and you're so excited. I'm glad to hear, darling. And please, when you get it, do tell me. Is it releasing later on in the month, or will it be sometime, sometime a little bit closer? I know I had to go set something in my phone for a reminder that I need to get a membership to my local bookstore for free. Should be rather wonderful. Very well then, said the North Wind, but you must sleep here tonight, for we must have the whole day before us if we are to get thither at all. Early the next morning, the North Wind woke her, and puffed himself up, and blew himself out, and made himself so stout and big, 'twas gruesome to look at him, and so off they went high for there, as if they would never stop till they got to the world's end. Down here below there was such a storm, it threw down 3 long tracts of wood, and many houses, and there it swept over the great sea. Ships foundered by hundreds, and so tore on, no one would believe how far they went. And all the while they still went over the sea, and the North Wind got more and more weary, and so out of breath that he could scarce breathe out a puff, and his wings drooped and drooped, till at last he sunk so low that the crests of the waves dashed over his heels. Are you afraid? Said the North Wind. No, she wasn't. 21st. Ooh, slay, darling. Now, do you happen to have the full name for it? Because I may see if mine is getting it soon as well, sweetheart. I would be kind of interested if it does. Now, let me just highlight this. and save my place. And how much of the story? Oh, not too much of the story. Okay, I'll take a sip, sweetheart. I only have about 10 more paragraphs of this long story. Can you tell I wasn't expecting it to be this long? Would you like me to read Cinderella after this? That's a good cozy story. Okay, sweetie. And hi, sweet magic. How are you tonight? I'm reading wonderful stories, and I'm reading one of those longer than you originally thought. Winter stories about the winds. Heaven's official blessing. Then volume 1 to 8. Okay. I think my bookstore does have it, but because it's a small time chain, I don't think they'll have that volume unless I request it. So, woo. And you may go EP soon, sweetheart Aiden? Okay. Feel free just to relax and enjoy. And good night, darling Nancy. I hope you sleep well and sleep good. May you have a great cozy time and rest well, my sweetheart. And feel free to send a good night message of your whole day and have a good time. And before I forget, Magic Pants TM. How are you, my dear? I hope you are well. No, she wasn't afraid, but they weren't very far from land, and the north wind still had so much strength left in him that I managed to throw her up on the shore under the windows of the castle, which lay east of the sun and west of the moon. But he was so weak and worn out, he had to stay there and rest for many days before he could get home again. Next morning, the lassie sat under the castle window and began to play with the golden apple. The first person she saw was a long nose, who was to have the prince. What do you want for the golden apple, you lassie? Said the long nose and threw up the window. It's not for sale for gold or for money. If it's not for sale for gold or for money, what is it you will sell it for? You may name your own price, said the princess. Well, if I were to get the prince who lives here and be with him tonight, you shall have it, said the lassie, with whom the north wind had bought or brought. You are, sweetheart. Okay. I did have a wonderful night. I had a delicious cookie, and that made me happy. I forgot to post it on Twitter. Darlings, let me find my phone and post it to Twitter, okay? In the meantime, I'll go do some ASMR. Indeed, Venus, indeed. After this, I'll read Cinderella, because everyone knows it. Okay. I feel like that's a bad title, but oh well. I don't really care. posted a picture on the cookie on the Twitter. And yes, Venus, stories. Now, well, if I may get the prince who lives here and be with him tonight, you shall have it, said the lassie whom the north wind had won. Yes, she might. That could be done, so the princess got the gold apple, but when the lassie came up to the prince's bedroom at night, he was fast asleep. She called and shook him, and between whiles she wept sore, but all she could do, she couldn't awake him. The next morning, as the day broke, came the princess with the long nose, and drove her out again. So in the daytime she sat under the castle windows and began to card with her carding comb. The same thing happened. The princess asked what she wanted for it, and she said it wasn't for sale, for gold or for money, but she might leave it to go up to the prince and be with him that night, and the princess should have it. But when she came up, she found him fast asleep again, and all she called, all she shook, and all wept and prayed, she couldn't get him to life. And as soon as the first gray peep of day came, then came the princess with the long nose and chased her out again. So in the daytime the lassie sat down outside the castle window and began to spin with her golden spinning wheel, and that too the princess with the long nose wanted to have. So she threw up the window and asked what she wanted for it. The lassie said, as she might have said twice before, it wasn't for gold or for money, but she might go up to the prince who was there and be with him alone that night. She might have it. Yes, that might do and welcome, but you must know there are some Christian folk who had been carried off thither, and they sat in their room which was next to the prince, and they heard how the woman had been there, and wept and prayed and called for him for 2 nights running, and they told that to the prince. That evening, when the princess came with her sleepy drink, he made it as if he drank, but he threw it over his shoulder, for he guessed it was a sleepy drink. And when the lassie came in, she found the prince wide awake, and then she told him the whole story of how she came thither. Ah, said the prince, you've just come in the very nick of time, for tomorrow is to be our wedding day. But now I won't have the long nose. You are the only woman in the world who can set me free. I say I want to see what is my wife is fit for, and beg her to wash that shirt, which has 3 spots of tow on it. She said yes, for she doesn't know 'tis you put them there, and that's work for only Christian folk, and not so much for a pack of trolls, so I'll say that I won't have... May I like this? Oh, we're nearing the end, sweethearts. And hi, Zay. How are you, my dear? I'm reading good night stories or bedtime stories, and I hope they're very, very cozy tonight. And if you want, you can tell me how your day is, sweetheart. Or your morning, sweetie, because it seems like it is morning for you. Wash and bag, free shirts, dot, and any other for my bride than the woman who can wash them out, and ask you to do it. So there was great joy and love between them all that night. But the next day for the wedding was to be, the prince said, first of all, I would like to see what my bride is fit for. Yes, said the stepmother of all her heart. Well, said the prince, I got a fine shirt I'd like for my wedding shirt, but somehow or other has 3 spots of towel on it, which I must have washed out. I've sworn never to take any other bride than the woman who's able to do it. If she can't, she's not worth having. And, well, that was no great thing, they said, for they agreed, and she with the long nose began to wash away as hard as she could. Oh, Sneerline Art. Welcome in, sweetie. How are you tonight, dear? Let me go lower the noise for that. How are you, sweetie? And welcome in, Raiders. My name is Felix, and tonight I'm reading wonderful, cozy, goodnight stories. I'm near finished with one I wasn't expecting to be 30 minutes long. I know. Thank you, sweetie. I do like my voice, and it brings a great comfort to many people as well. Thank you for the raid, and please, art or sneer, you get 3 free triggers, and please do get a sip of water, go to the bathroom, get some food, or whatever it is you need to do, sweetie. And lest I forget, to all the wonderful raiders, if you follow, you get a free trigger, and all you have to do is just ask, okay? And thank you for giving a shout out to Snareline Art. I'll give them a follow too, because they are a beautiful darling, no doubt. And hi, Spoons, I didn't see you there, sweetheart. How are you doing, darling? I hope you're doing absolutely slay tonight. And yes, sweet Snareline, no, I'm not too kind. You deserve all the wonderful shoutouts for your very sweet raid. And that dancing emote. Who did it? Because it is so cute. Braving? Okay. And you have 2 more free triggers after that. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Good job. Good job. I'm so proud of you, darling. Relax. Relax. It's all gonna be okay. Just rest, relax, and enjoy the cozy goodnight stories. And Snareline, you get 2 more triggers. And Spark, how are you, dear? I hope you're well. And Iki, hi. I hope you're doing well and cozy tonight. And you have a little migraine, sweetheart Spoons. I'm sad to hear, but I hope that you can rest well tonight. I'm going to turn up now since I'm done with the little bit of cozy wozy, little whatever. I'm going to turn up the fireplace and rain in the background. Tell me if it gets too loud and you can't hear me, okay? If it's too loud, tell me. There. Put it right there. And how have you been, Spark? Had pats and kisses? Okay. If they're too quiet, tell me. I'll do the kisses right now. here at the moment? Whoa, whoa. There. I'll go turn it down then. We'll put it there. Oh, not the background. Okay, okay. Thank you. I'll put it there. Okay, we'll just put it there and hopefully it's not bad. A little bit jank. Anyway. And sweet Ozza, welcome in. How are you doing tonight, dear? And Spark, you forgot to say how you are. Now, a little bit more kisses. There. You've been wonderful after you ended the stream. You're watching Vaughn. You said you want to make some cookies. I baked some today, but I didn't make the other recipe. The recipe of the browned butter. Now let me go do the head pats, okay? And if you want me to turn up that background noise, you just tell me, okay? It's all good. It's all good. Good job. Good job. I'm so proud of you. By the way, were you streaming art, sweet Snareline? I think I forgot to ask. My apologies, sweetie. My apologies. Oh, you did some ASMR. How did it go, sweetheart? I hope it was very, very cozy. If I remember after stream, I'll go and listen to your VOD, darling. And I'll also go unapologetically stalk your art and see what you draw. Because if there's one thing I love doing, it's seeing art. Because I think it's magic how it's made. Because I cannot draw for my life, but I can edit pictures. And that's pretty much it. Very cozy. Always. I always want it to be cozy. Though, I kind of forgot before stream to do something. And that was just to, put the Discord server link in. And just pin it. A link to the cozy Say So Discord. I know. I always love seeing artists. At some point, I think I need to go make a starting soon or BRB screen. I only have, I don't want to show you all it because I'm too shy. But if you go to my Twitter, I think it is my banner screen. I know. Art is always so beautiful. I ask Snareline, what is it you typically draw? Is it people, backgrounds, a mixture? I don't really know what most people draw anyway. And aesthetic, have impact. I know it's a little diversion from the reading. Heart is so close to art. Anime girls in D&D. You also drew and rigged your model. Well, I think I'm going to have to do some stalking right now. I know, unapologetic. You can't draw backgrounds at all. Wow, that's okay. Excuse me as I go and mute and then quickly do some clicky clackies. Okay, I did mute the tab. And Tater, you want some kisses? That's gonna be slay. Okay. Well, you have a little Twitch hat next to you. Are you celebrating your, little anniversary, sweetie? Congratulations, if so. Good job. Oh, that's weird. For some reason, it just popped up. And I apparently have 550 points. Interesting. UwU Princess Idol Schnee. I'm a full-time freelance artist and streamer. Here you will find souls-like art and singing content. Join me on our journey rebuilding our dear kingdom. Welcome, my knights. And congratulations, 560 more followers to 4K. And oh my god, those banners are slay, darling. Oh my. Don't you love stalking people after they raid you? It's always so sweet to see it all. Now, let me go skip. Let me just go stare into the VOD. Ooh, spray mist. Okay. Let me go do spray mist in a second. And welcome back, Cloaky. How are you, my dear? I'm going to do the other spray. Oh! And thank you, Universe, for the follow. How have you been, my darling? Oh, yeah, I'm gonna be honest, that Discord link is probably expired. Give me just a second to, do some magic. There is someone I recently found who rigs models, because a friend of mine, is getting a new model, and oh my god. You ever see someone who just rigs something and it looks like absolute magic to you, and you have no idea how they got the face to move so much, or the hair to look like it's made of silk? It's amazing. But I'll be honest, anyone who can draw a rig or anything of that nature I find to be amazing, because you can probably tell I can't do any of that. And that's just how it is. Okay, let me go type up something real quick and I'll get to doing all of your cozy wozy triggers. I know. Give me a second. And I also forgot to say this. Schnee, you get one more free trigger. Ooh. Yeah. I only do ASMR because I'll be real honest. It's the only thing I have ambition to do. I will say though, for Christmas a while back, last Christmas in fact, I made a wonderful wallpaper. And for that, I did stream in both art and the ASMR category, but that's it. Unless I do a joke category change. Like if you really want to have some fun with people, before you raid, change your category to furry feet. It always makes people go, oh whoa. There we go. There we go. I know. Ain't that wonderful? Now, people, I know art is really amazing. There you go. Just be cozy and say so in it, and that will bring the biggest smile to my face, sweetheart. And never underestimate the people who rig. You thought we could do in a week or two. It's been 3 months. I know. Also, random thing before I get back into more reading ASMR, because we're on what? Tangent after tangent after tangent here. Don't worry, it's all okay. A former friend who I just have no ambition to talk to and kind of don't really want in my life anymore, just started messaging me on Discord. So if you see me switching to my Fleetlicks Discord, you know why. Don't worry about it though. Now, oh, you do. You want to see my other model? I have 2 because they're both breathtaking. I love them. I'm not going to show you the feet one. No. But here's the other model. It's not as say so with the tummy, so I'm not going to show you the tummy. But I love this one too. It's very cute. And it has jiggle. So I love that too. I know. A wonderful friend of mine found it, and they said it reminded them of me greatly, so I bit the bullet and got it, you know. Now, back to the blue, because blue evokes the coziest vibes for people. Yeah. Big, cozy. Now, back to ASMR. UwU Rawr. And thank you, Vicky. I always strive to be better though, so if there's anything you want for the extra cozy, just tell me. And yeah, the pink eyeshadow on this model is like an extra slay. Plushie with a bunny boy? I have many plushies for the bunny boy. You can see the free emotes. Now, where was I? Oh, on the right arm? Oh yeah, there's a little blue bunny plushie. It's real cute. Apparently when this model art was being made, the original person didn't pay, so they put it on, so the artist put it on some art selling site, and then Jess bought it and rigged it. Yeah, I know, it's very cute. Now back to the cozy story which you all came to fall asleep to. Well, that's no great thing, they said, so they agreed, and she with the long nose began to wash away as hard as she could, but the more she rubbed and rubbed, the spots grew big. Ah, said the old hag, her mother, you can't wash it, let me try. But she hadn't long taken the shirt in hand before it got far worse than ever, when with all of her rubbing and wriggling and scrubbing, the spots grew bigger and blacker, the darker and uglier was the shirt. And then the trolls began to wash, but the longer they lasted, the blacker and uglier the shirt grew, till it lasted as black all over, as if it had been up the chimney. Ah, said the prince, you're none of you are worth a straw. You can't wash. Why, outside sits a beggar lassie. I'll be bound if she knows how to wash better than the whole lot of you. Come in, lassie, he shouted. Well, in she came. Can you wash this shirt clean, lassie, you? He said, I don't know, but I think I can. Almost before she had taken it and dipped it in the water, it was as white as driven snow and whiter still. Yes, you are the lassie for me, said the prince. At that, the old hag flew into such a rage she burst on the spot. and a princess with a long nose after her, and a whole pack of trolls after her. At last I never heard a word about them since. As for the prince and princess, they set free all the poor Christian folk who had been carried off and shut up there. They took with them all the silver and gold, and flitted away as they could from the castle that lay east of the sun and west of the moon. May you sleep well, sweet Snareline. I promise to ceaselessly stalk your streams. UwU. Don't worry. Hashtag context is important. Good night, sweet Snare. May you dream well, sleep well, have some delicious water, and dream of adorable things. The next story, by the way, will be Cinderella. Oh, you want some water noises? I can do that. I will just read Cinderella in just a moment. Oh, get ready for a burp. That wasn't really good, but there. Let's go add that to the stream title. Yeah, that one lacked power. 6 out of 10. Exactly. Now, let me go do water noises for you for a minute, and then I will read to you Cinderella, because it's like, and as a side note, on this little picture, there's apparently some French courtier following after Cinderella, and to put it real blunt, he is dressed like an absolute queen. Contemplating where to eat the butter cookies or wait. Venus, darling, I would say to wait. And after stream, I will put my recipe for my peanut butter chocolate chip cookies, okay? Butter noise? That would be interesting. I mean, if you want, sweetheart, I can tell you the recipe and the ingredients in the order. Would you like that? It's not really a difficult recipe. In fact, it's getting to a point where I can just remember it off my head. And don't worry, after the little bubbly noises, I will do, let's see, spray mist for Azza, kisses for Tater, and no, I didn't miss it, sweetie. And then I will do the long spray for Spaghetti, and hola, Spaghetti, buenos días. Hmm. And that reminds me, Tater. When I was listening to your stream, how was Terraria? If you never know this, I never played it before. But you remind me of another mute streamer. I can't remember their name right now, but they're really quite the kind, adorable person. If I can remember it, I'll put a link in the channel or whatever, just whisper it to you. It's really a wonderful person. Though I can't really catch too many of their streams due to working and all that. I put the water globes back. And then next, redeem. Terraria is playing right now, but you're on highest difficulty. And you'd like to hear it. I don't think they're an ASMR streamer, so you will have to give me just a little moment, okay? And let me go do the sprays. First, again, is the short spray. Oh, welcome in, Puppy Springer. How are you, my dear? I hope you're doing absolutely well and cozy tonight. Okay, no problem with that, sweetie. You just vibe as much as you want, okay? I may have to go to another streamer and see if they have them in their, what is it, section. Okay. Nope, and you literally misspell something in Twitch, and they don't know what you're talking about. I do swear that Twitch doesn't have the best search function. It's so jank. Okay. About. And sorry for all the clicking, sweeties. I do apologize. Always, sweetheart Tater. Okay, Yoshino Art made their model. They made the foot model, by the way. That's one of the funny ways I found them. Scroll down, scroll down. Their name, Velvety. That's their name. Let me go type that real quick, okay? Give me just a second. You are awesome, Mickey. Okay, you are. Terraria is pain difficult, I understand, and more fun with friends in your first run. Unfortunately, I don't really play games anymore. I'm old and ancient. Okay, I don't remember if they're 18 plus streamer, but if you want, I can just read you a little bit about them. They're a mute VTuber. If you like question or just ask us why they refer to this panel, you'll not get an answer from asking a stream. Yes. What is a mute streamer? You have no voice to project, you cannot speak. Why are you mute? Here's some reasons you not prefer to answer. Will you reply back to me in chat or TTS? Is there any way to find out why you're mute? If you really desire to know why I'm relevant, asking stream isn't the best place. You can direct message me via Discord. It's a safe place. You're still a human. Enjoy chewing bubblegum and lip-syncing songs, but you had a voice, but now it's gone. Yeah, I'll give you a link, sweetheart. Dozing off? Okay. That's no problem, okay? No problem. Here, Tater, I'll send you a quick whisper, if I remember how. There we go. The cozy streamer. Though they are a wonderful person. Now, and always, yes, sweetheart, springer. Many kisses and many huggles, sweetie. Now, also I forgot to say it, Universe, you get a free trigger and all you have to do is just ask UwU. Cinderella. Once there was a gentleman who had married for his second wife, the proudest and most haughty woman that was ever seen. She had, by a former husband, 2 daughters of her own humor, who were indeed exactly like her in all things. He had likewise by another wife, a young daughter, but of unparalleled goodness and sweetness of temper, which she took from her mother, who was the best creature in the world. No sooner were the ceremonies of the weddings over, but the mother-in-law began to show herself in her true colors. She could not bear the good qualities of this pretty girl, and less because they made her own daughters appear more odious, she employed her in the meanest work of the house. She scoured the dishes, tables, and scrubbed the madam's chamber and those of the misses. Her daughters she lay up in a sorry garret, upon a wretched straw bed, while her sisters lay in fine rooms with floors all inlaid, upon beds of the newest fashion, and where they had looking-glasses so large where they might see themselves at their full length from head to foot. I know, slay, darling. The poor girl bore all patiently, and dared not tell her father, who had rattled her off, for his wife governed him entirely. When she had her work done, she used to go to the chimney corner and sit down among the cinders and ashes, which made her commonly be called a cinder wench. But the youngest, who was not so rude and uncivil as the eldest, called her Cinderella. However, Cinderella, notwithstanding her mean apparel, was 100 times handsomer than her sisters, who were always dressed very richly. It happened that the king's son gave a ball, and invited all persons of fashion to it. Our young missus was also invited, for they cut a very grand figure among the quality. They were mightily delighted at this invitation, and wonderfully busy in choosing out such gowns, petticoats, and head-cloths as might become them. This was a new trouble to Cinderella, for it was she who had ironed her sisters' linen, plaited their ruffles, and talked all day of nothing but how they should be dressed. For my part, said the eldest, I wear my red velvet suit with French trimming. You can tell an older English handsome wasn't reserved for only masculine, and suit refers to more than just what we call suit now, as suit in this case probably refers to what we now call a dress in all of its fashions. Beauty is sometimes a curse for some people. I wouldn't say I'm wise. I'm just slay. I should probably make the model just a little bit bigger, thinking of it. There we go. Embiggened. least. Now, let me see where it was. And I, said the youngest, shall have my usual petticoat. But then, to make amends for that, I will put on my gold-flowered manteau, and my diamond stomacher, which is far from being the most ordinary one in the world. They sent for the best tire-woman they could get to make the makeup for their headdresses and adjust their double pinners, and they had their red blushes and patches from Mademoiselle de la Poche. Cinderella was likewise called up to them to be consulted in all the matters, for she had done excellent notions, and advised them always for the best, nay, offered her services to dress their heads, for which they were very willing. She should do as she was always doing this, they said to her. Alas, said she, you only jeer me. It is not for such as I am to go thither. Thou art in the right of it, replied they. It would make the people laugh to see a cinder wench at a ball. Do-do. Anyone but Cinderella would have dressed their heads awry, but she is very good and dressed them perfectly well. There are almost 2 days without eating, so much they were transported with joy. They broke above a dozen laces and tried to be laced up close. They might have had a fine, slender shape, but they were continually at their looking-glass. At last, the happy day came. They went to court, and Cinderella followed them with her eyes as long as she could, and when she had lost sight of them, she fell a-crying. By the way, in a moment the next redeem, after a paragraph of this, will be the long spray. Her grandmother, who saw her, I missed a line, as long as she could, and when she had lost sight of them, she fell a-crying. Her godmother, who saw her all in tears, asked her what was the matter. I wish I could, I wish I could. She was not able to speak the rest, being interrupted by her tears and sobbing. This godmother of hers, who was a fairy, said to her, Thou wishest thou couldst go to the ball. Is it not so? Yes, cried Cinderella, with a great sigh. Well, her godmother said, Be but a good girl, and I will contrive that thou shalt go. Then she took her into her chamber and said to her, Run into the garden and bring me a pumpkin. Now, I will go do the spray, and feel free to do another burp in a second. Me? A king? I wouldn't say so. I'm just me, sweetheart. UwU. There you go. Hopefully that's real cozy. Cinderella went immediately to gather the finest she could get, and brought it to her godmother, not being able to imagine how this pumpkin could make her go to the ball. Her godmother stooped out all the inside of it, and having left nothing but the rind, which done, she struck it with her wand, and the pumpkin was instantly turned into a fine coach, gilded all over with gold. She then went to look into her mousetrap, where she found 6 mice, all alive, and ordered Cinderella to be left up the little trapdoor, when, giving each mouse, as it went out, a little tap with her wand, the mouse was that moment turned into a fine horse, which altogether made a very fine set of 6 horses of a beautiful mouse-colored draple gray. Being at a loss for coachmen, I will go and see, says Cinderella. If there was never a rat in the rat trap, we may have made a coachman of him. Thou art in the right, replied her godmother. Go and look. Cinderella brought the trap to her, and in there were 3 huge rats. The fairy made a choice of one of the 3 which had the largest beard. I never knew rats had a beard. I may turn up the sound in the background to get more cozy. If it's too loud, tell me. If it's too loud, tell me. Ooh. There. We'll put it right there. I know, Venus. Bearded rat. Next line. Having touched him with her wand, he was turned into a fat, jolly coachman who had the smartest whiskers eyes could ever beheld. After that, she said to her, Go again into the garden. You'll find 6 lizards behind the watering pot. Bring them to me. She had no sooner done so, but her godmother turned them into 6 footmen, who skipped out immediately behind the coach, with their liveries all bedaubled with gold and silver, and all clung as close behind each other as if they had done nothing else their whole lives. The fairy then said to Cinderella, Well, you see here is an equipage fit to go to the ball with. Are you not pleased with it? Oh, yes, she cried, but must I go thither as I am, in these nasty rags? By the way, darlings, how's the audio? Is it still good, sweetheart? Can you still hear me well, or is it too quiet, or too loud and you can't hear me read? Audio good? Okay. Back to reading. Her godmother only just touched her with her wand, and at the same instant her clothes were turned into a cloth of gold and silver, all beset with jewels. This done, she gave her a pair of glass slippers, the prettiest in the whole world. Thus decked out, she got up to her coach. It's okay. But her godmother, above all things, commanded her not to stay till after midnight, telling her at the same time, if she stayed 1 moment longer, the coach would be a pumpkin again, her horses mice, her coachman a rat, her footmen lizards, and her cloths were just as they were before. She promised her godmother that she would not fail of leaving the ball before midnight, and then away she drives. Scarce able to contain herself for joy, the king's son, who was just told what a great princess, whom nobody knew, was come, strange old English, ran out to receive her. He gave her his hand as she alighted out of the coach, and led her into the ball among all the company. There was immediately a profound silence. They left off dancing, the violins ceased to play, so attentive was everyone to contemplate the singular beauties of the unknown newcomer. Nothing was then heard but a confused noise of, "Ha, how handsome is she! Ha, how handsome she is!" The king himself, old as he was, could not help watching her and telling the queen softly that it was a long time since he had seen so beautiful and lovely a creature. All the ladies were busied in considering her clothes and headdress, that they might have made the next day the same pattern, provided they could meet such fine materials and as able hand to make them. The king's son conducted her to the most honorable seat, having took her out to dance. She danced so gracefully that they all more and more admired her. A fine collation was served up, thereof of a young prince ate not a morsel, so intently was he busied in gazing on her. She went and sat down by her sisters, showing them 1,000 civilities, giving them part of oranges and citrons, which the prince had presented her with. She had very much surprised them, for they did not know her. While Cinderella was thus amusing her sisters, she heard the clock strike 11 3/4. Thereupon she immediately made a curtsy to the company, and hastened away as fast as she could. When she had got home, she ran to seek out her godmother, and, after having thanked her, she said that she could not but heartily wish she might go next day to the ball, because the king's son had desired her. As she was eagerly telling her godmother whatever had passed at the ball, the two sisters knocked at the door, which Cinderella ran and opened. "How long have you stayed?" she cried, gaping, rubbing her eyes, and stretching herself, as if she had just been waked up out of her sleep. She had not, however, any manner of inclination to sleep since they went from home. "Thou hadst been at the ball," said one of the sisters. "Thou wouldst not have been tired with it. There came thither the finest princess, the most beautiful ever was seen with mortal eyes. She showed us 1,000 civilities, gave us oranges and citrons. I wouldn't say sleeping is bad. Sleeping is always cozy." Cinderella seemed very indifferent in the matter indeed. She asked him the name of the princess. But, oh, Justin, thank you, sweetheart, for the follow, or not the follow, but the sub. It means a great deal, sweetie. Thank you very much. If you'd like, darling, you get yourself a free redeem/trigger, and all you have to do is just say what you would like, darling. Thank you very kindly. Let me go stretch. There we go. Now, let me go figure out where I was. And don't forget, Justin, you get a free trigger. UwU Rawr. VIP. I'm tempted. So, I'll give you a little bit. You can decide now. Let me go type something up real bit quick, and then I will go and have you be cozy, okay? Okay. Tiana, just rest, darling. Close your eyes and rest well. Yawning is contagious because they're demons. Lest you forget Gesundheit. used to be a thing. Thanks to reading us, you have a dentist appointment, so your bedtime is calling. Okay, okay. Sleep well, sweet darling Belle. And good night, sweetheart Justin. Have a kiss. There you go. I know. Good sleep to all the sweet darlings who rest. Eat good. Eat good. Comf. Very comf. Now, back to, me doing the cozy. She asked to name that princess, but they told her they did not know, and that the king's son was very uneasy of her account, and get all the world to know who she was. At this, Cinderella, smiling, replied, "She must then be a very beautiful. Indeed. How happy you have been. Could I not see her? Ah, dear Miss Charlotte, do lend me your yellow suit of clothes which you wear every day." "I do to be sure," cried Miss Charlotte. "Lend my clothes to such a dirty cinder wench as thou art. I should be a fool." Cinderella indeed expected such an answer, but was very glad to refuse it, for she would have been sadly put to it if her sister had lent her what she asked for jestingly. Indeed, Icky, indeed. But just rest now and Justin, enjoy the comfy emote. It's very cute. But dressed more magnificent. The next day the two sisters were at the ball, and so was Cinderella, but dressed more magnificently than before. The king's son was always by her, and never ceased his compliments and kind speeches to her, to whom all this so far from being tiresome that she forgot what her godmother had recommended to her, so that she at last counted the clock striking 12, when she took it to be no more than 11. Then she rose up and fled as nimble as a deer. I like deer, they're cute. The prince followed, but could not overtake her. She left behind one of her glass slippers, which the prince took up most carefully. She got home, but quite out of breath, in her nasty old clothes, having nothing left of all of her finery, but one of the little slippers. Fellow to that she dropped. The guards at the palace gate were asked if they had not seen a princess go out, who said they had seen nobody go out but a young girl, very meanly dressed, and she had more air of a poor country wench than a gentlewoman. When the two sisters returned from the ball, Cinderella asked them if they had been well diverted, and if the fine lady had been there. They told her yes, but she hurried away immediately when it struck 12. It was so much haste that she dropped one of her little glass slippers, the prettiest in the world, which the king's son had taken up. And he had done nothing but look at her all the time at the ball, and most certainly he was very much in love with the beautiful person who owned the glass slipper. What they said was very true, for a few days after, the king's son caused it to be proclaimed by the sound of the trumpet that he would marry whose feet the slipper would just fit. They whom he employed began to try to pawn the princesses, then the duchesses, then all the court, but in vain. It was brought to the two sisters, who did all they possibly could to thrust their foot into the slipper, but they could not effect it. Cinderella, who saw all this and knew her slipper, said to them, laughing, "Let me see if it will fit me." Her sisters burst out laughing and began to banter her. The gentleman who was sent to try the slipper, looking earnestly at Cinderella and finding her very handsome, said it was but just that she should try, and that he had orders to let everyone make trial. He obliged Cinderella to sit down, and putting the slipper on her foot, he found it went on very easily, and fitted her as if it had been made out of wax. To the astonishment of her two sisters, were made an excessively great, but still abundantly greater, when Cinderella pulled out of her pocket the other slipper, and put it on her foot, and thereupon in came her godmother, who, having touched her wand with Cinderella's clothes, made them richer and more magnificent than any of those she had done before. And now her two sisters found that to be fine, beautiful lady whom they had seen at the ball threw themselves at her foot to beg pardon for all the ill treatment they had made her undergo. Cinderella took them up, and as she embraced them, cried that she forgave them with all of her heart, and desired them always to love her. She was conducted to the young prince, dressed as she was. He thought her more charming than ever, and a few days after married her. Cinderella, who was less good than beautiful, gave her sisters lodgings in the palace. Or no less good than beautiful, I'm afraid. And how did you enjoy Cinderella, sweethearts? I hope it was very, very cozy, and you loved it greatly. Now, let me go read to you some other stories. What would you like, sweethearts? I have the Three Little Pigs, Little Red Riding Hood, the Velveteen Rabbit. Thank you, Venus. Thank you, sweetheart. Jack and the Beanstalk, the Tale of Peter Rabbit, the Elves and the Shoemaker, the Boogie Beast, Winnie the Pooh, My Father's Dragon, the Tortoise and the Hare, Snow White, St. George and the Dragon. That one's probably too religious. The Gingerbread Man. Thumbelina. I've never read that one. Okay, the Tortoise and the Hare versus Little Red Riding Hood. And Winnie the Pooh. Okay. Would you like to do them in that order? I certainly don't have any issue with that. Oh, Thumbelina is by Hans Christian Andersen. Okay, darlings. I'll read to you The Tortoise and the Hare, Little Red Riding Hood, and Winnie the Pooh. Don't worry. We're just a bunch of furries here, so we're never in a hurry. Here. Let me go change the title. There we go. The Tortoise and the Hare by Aesop. A hare was making fun of the tortoise one day for being so slow. "Do you ever get anywhere?" he asked with a mocking laugh. "Yes," replied the tortoise, "and I get there sooner than you think. I'll run you a race and prove it." The hare was much amused at the idea of running a race with the tortoise, but for the fun of the thing he agreed. So the fox... Yeah, that's okay. So the fox, who had consented as an active judge, marking the distance, So the fox, who had consented to act as a judge, marked the distance and started the runners off. The hare was soon far out of sight, and to make the tortoise feel very deeply how ridiculous it was for him to try a race with a hare, he lay down beside the course to take a nap until the tortoise should catch up. The tortoise, meanwhile, kept going slowly but steadily, and after a time passed the place where the hare was sleeping. But the hare slept on very peacefully, and when at last he did wake up, The tortoise was very near the goal. The hare now ran his swiftest, but could not overtake the tortoise in time. Very, very sad, you know. The next one is Little Red Riding Hood. There we go. You may all get your stories read tonight, especially if, I know, stress, it ain't good. Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time there was a dear little girl who was loved by everyone who looked at her, but most of all by her grandmother, and there was nothing she would not have given to the child once she gave her a little cap of red velvet, which suited her so well she would never wear anything else. So she was always called Little Red Riding Hood. One day her mother said to her, "Come, Little Red Riding Hood, here is a piece of cake and a bottle of wine. Take them to your grandmother. She is ill and weak, and they will do her good." I'll be honest, if you're sick, I don't see how the ladder is going to help, except with calories, but oh well. Set out before it gets too hot, and when you are going, walk nicely and quietly, and do not run off the path, or you may fall and break the bottle, then your grandmother will get nothing. And then you go into her room. Don't forget to say good morning, and don't peep into every corner before you do. I know. It's always interesting. I will take great care, said Little Red Riding Hood to her mother, and gave her hand on it. The grandmother lived out in the wood, half a league from the village. Okay, I'm aware that league means approximately, 30 feet or something? I don't remember. Well, in truth, Cinderella, the original ending was a little bit more morbid. The sisters of Cinderella actually cut off their toes and try to fit them into the slipper. And when they fail, one of them jumps out of a window. So, yeah. That would be the Brothers Grimm version, I believe. Yeah, it's a little bit more different and morbid. Would you like me to read the Brothers Grimm version instead? I'll do that in a bit. The grandmother lived out in the wood, half a league from the village. I know. Exactly, Venus. I know. And just as Little Red Riding Hood entered the wood, a wolf met her. Little Red Riding Hood did not know what a wicked creature he was, and was not at all afraid of him. "Good day, Little Red Riding Hood," he said. "Why, thank you kindly, wolf. Whither away so early, Little Red Riding Hood?" "To my grandmother's." "What have you got in your apron?" "Cake and wine. Yesterday was baking day, so sick poor grandmother is to have anything good to make her stronger." "Where does your grandmother live, Little Red Riding Hood?" "A little good quarter of a league farther into the almond wood. The house stands under 3 large oak trees. The nut tree is just below. You surely must know it," replied Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf thought to himself, "What a tender young creature. What a nice plump mouthful. She will be better to eat than the old woman. I must act craftily, as so to catch both." So he walked for a short time by the side of Little Red Riding Hood, and then he said, "See, Little Red Riding Hood, how pretty the flowers are about here. Why don't you look round? Why do you not look round? I believe, too, that you do not hear how sweetly the little birds are singing. You walk gravely along as if you are going to school. While everything else is out there, out here the wood is merry. Little Red Riding Hood raised her eyes, and when she saw the sunbeams dancing here and there through the trees, and pretty flowers growing everywhere, she thought, suppose I take grandmother a fresh nosegay. That would please her too. It was so early in the day that she still could get there in good time, and so she ran from her path into the wood to look for flowers, and wherever she had picked one, she fancied that she saw a still prettier one farther on, and ran after it, and so got deeper and deeper into the wood. Meanwhile, the wolf ran straight to the grandmother's house, knocked on the door, and "Who's there?" Little Red Riding Hood, replied the wolf. She's bringing the cake and wine. Open the door. It's the hedge, cried out the grandmother. I'm too weak. I cannot get up. The wolf lifted the hatch, the door sprang open, and without saying a word he went straight to the grandmother's bed and devoured her. Then he put on her clothes and dressed himself in a cap, laid himself in bed and drew the curtains. Little Red Riding Hood, however, had been running about, picking flowers, and when she had gathered so many that she could carry no more, she remembered that her grandmother, and had set on her way to her. And that's okay, sweet Koha. Have a good sweet rest. Remember that you are loved and enjoyed. Sleep well, dream well. Remember that you, my dear, are loved. Good night, sweetheart. Little Red Riding Hood, however, had been running about, read that. She was surprised to find the cottage door standing open. She went into the room. She had such a strange feeling, she said to herself. Oh dear, how uneasy I feel today, and at other times I like being with grandmother so much. She called out, Good morning, but received no answer, so she went to the bed and drew back the curtains. There lay her grandmother with a cap pulled far over her face, looking very strange. Oh, grandmother, what big ears you have! The better you hear with it, my child, was the reply. But grandmother, what big eyes you have! The better to see you with, my dear. But grandmother, what large hands you have! The better to hug you with. Oh, but grandmother, what a terrible big mouth you have. The better to eat you with. And scarcely had the wolf said this, then with one bound he was out of bed, and swallowed up Little Red Riding Hood. When the wolf had appeased his appetite, he lay down again in the bed, and fell asleep, and began to snore very loud. The huntsman was just passing the house and thought to himself, how the old woman was snoring. Give me a second. I had to wait for sweet Koha's message to disappear. How the old woman is snoring. I must see if she wants anything. So he went into the room, and when he came to the bed, he saw that the wolf was lying in it. Do I find you here, you old sinner? He said. I have so long sought you. Then, as he was just going to fire at him, it occurred that the wolf might devour the grandmother, and that she still might be saved, so he did not fire, but took a pair of scissors and began to cut open the stomach of the sleeping wolf. When he had made 2 snips, he saw that Little Red Riding Hood shining, and he had made 2 snips more, and little girl sprang out crying, "Ah, how frightened I have been! How dark it was inside the wolf!" And after that the aged grandmother came out alive also, but scarcely able to breathe. Little Red Riding Hood, however, quickly fetched great stones, with which they filled the wolf's belly, and when he awoke he wanted to run away, but the stones were so heavy that he collapsed, and at once he fell dead. Then all three were delighted. The huntsman drew off the wolf's skin and went home with it. The grandmother ate the cake and drank the wine which Little Red Riding Hood had brought, and revived. But Little Red Riding Hood thought to herself, "As long as I live, I will never by myself leave the path to run into the wood when my mother has forbidden me to do so." So in other words, that's a long story about if you're walking in the middle of the woods, don't leave the path because you're probably going to get lost. I mean, sure, but yeah. It was also related that once, when Little Red Riding Hood was again taking cakes to the old grandmother, another wolf spoke to her and tried to entice her from the path. Little Red Riding Hood, however, was on her guard and went straight forward on her way and told her grandmother that she met the wolf, and I said good morning to her, but with such a wicked look in his eyes that if they had not been in a public road, she was certain he would have eaten her up. "Well," said the grandmother, "we will shut the door, that he may not come in." Soon afterwards, the wolf knocked and cried, "Open the door, grandmother. I am Little Red Riding Hood, and I am bringing you some cakes." But they did not speak or open the door, so the gray beard stole twice or thrice around the house, and at last jumped off the roof, and then, intending to wait until Little Red Riding Hood went home in the evening, and then to steal after her and devour her in the darkness. But the grandmother saw. Oh my. Is it official? Onidex? Has Omegle officially shut down permanently or just temporarily, sweetheart? Because I'll be real honest with you. It's Omegle. And it's pretty weird, you know. You buy? I don't know what you buy means. Let me check my message from Tater. But welcome in on the decks. Good. Because I'll be real honest, the only memory I have of Omegle is watching a sweet person. Ah, thank you, Vicky. The only knowledge I have of Omegle is that I watched someone have fun with it. They didn't use a VPN, so someone literally leaked their IP on the Discord stream. And half the people they were just joking around with and joining the call were just a bunch of creepy guys, shirtless in the dark on their phones. So I don't really have a great opinion of Omegle, but that's okay, right? And then I actually saw the face of a voice actor called Ice Boy. So that was interesting. Now, let me go look. Ah, there it is. I got lost on a tangent. My apologies. But the grandmother saw that was in his thoughts. In front of the house was a great stone trough. So she said to the child, "Take the pail, Little Red Riding Hood. I made some sausages yesterday, so carry the water in which I boiled them in it." them to the trough. Little Red Riding Hood carried until the great trough was quite full. Then the smell of sausages reached the wolf. He sniffed and peeped down, and at last stretched out his neck so far that he could no longer keep his footing, and began to slip. And he slipped down from the roof straight into the great trough, and was drowned. But Little Red Riding Hood went home joyously. And no one did ever anything to harm her again. I know. But Onidex, how are you tonight, sweetie? And yeah, Omega was... Did they have any subscription? Because otherwise I don't think they'd be making a profit. And I mean, you've been that site, it feels like you're going back to 1905 or 1994, you know? Now let me go and get some tea to drink, because I feel like my throat needs it. There. Hydration? I mean, sure, darling. Oh, Springer. You're still there, sweetheart. Hi, my beautiful darling. Now you'll be doing slay tonight. Now, what was the story I was supposed to read after that? I don't remember. Winnie the Pooh. There it is. Darling Tiana wanted me to read it. Okay. Most likely okay. That's okay, sweetheart. I always hope that you can be the happiest and coziest you can possibly be. Oh, it's a series here in Canada. Very nice. We have it too in the US. Out of curiosity, Icky, do you speak French? I'm kind of curious. Oh. Well, this will be a long story. Winnie the Pooh, chapter 6, 7, 8. Ah, Quebec. Bonjour. I always love meeting people. Ah, bonjour. I have to read more, learn more French though. And I do actually know a darling in Quebec. So if ever I feel like visiting, I'm sure I can. Oh yeah, Winnie the Pooh horror movie. Mon bleu. Icky. Oui, je t'aime dans mon cœur, ma chérie. And welcome in, darling Nicola. You're not late. You're breathtaking. Right now, we're just reading cozy stories tonight. And right now, it's Winnie the Pooh. Chapter 5, 6, 7, 8. In which Christopher Robin leads an exploitation to the North Pole. I know. One fine day, Winnie the Pooh had stumped up to the top of the forest to see his friend Christopher Robin was interested in bears at all. At breakfast that morning, a simple meal of marmalade spread lightly over a honeycomb or two, he had suddenly thought of a new song, and it began like this, and ara ara, ara ara, Exactly, Nicola. Snuggle up and enjoy, sweetheart. Sing ho for the life of a bear. When he has got as far as this, he scratched his head and thought to himself, that is a very good start for a song, but what about the second line? He tried singing ho 2 or 3 times, but it didn't seem to help. Perhaps it would be better, he thought, if I sang high for the life of a bear. So he sang it, but it wasn't. Very well then, he said. I shall sing that, the first line twice. Perhaps if I sing it very quickly, I shall find myself singing the 3rd or 4th lines before I think, or have time to think of them, and I'll be a good song now then. Sing ho for the life of a bear, sing ho for the life of a bear. I don't mind it if it rains or snows, 'cause I got a lot of honey on my nice new rose. I don't much care if it rains, snows, or falls, 'cause I've got a lot of honey on my nice clean paws. Sing ho for a bear, sing ho for a poo, and I'll have something in an hour or 2. He was so pleased with his song that he sang it all the way to the top of the forest. And if I go on singing it for much longer, he thought, it'll be time for a little something, and the last line won't be true. So he turned it into a hum instead. Christopher Robin was sitting outside his door, putting on his big pants. As soon as he saw the big boots, Pooh knew that the adventure was going to happen. So he brushed the honey off his nose with the back of his paw, spruced himself up as he could well, and so as he took to so as to look ready for anything. Good morning, Christopher Robin, he called out. Hello, Pooh. I can't get this boot on. That's bad, said Pooh. I'll do some kisses. Oh. Welcome in, Raspberry. How are you, my dear? Or should I say Blueberry? You smell today like a fresh summer, filled with freshly picked berries from a berry farm or a berry field. That is exceptionally wonderful. And I forgot to say have a good night, Monet. And you're breathtaking too. Now, to scroll down and the rest of the story. Do you think you could very kindly lean against me, 'cause I gotta keep pulling so hard that I fall over backwards? Pooh sat down, dug his teeth into the ground, and pushed hard against Christopher Robin's back. And Christopher Robin pushed hard against his, and pulled as Boot, until they had got it on. And that's that, said Pooh. What do we do next? We are going on an expedition, said Christopher Robin as he got up and brushed himself. Thank you, Pooh. What's going on? I'll just do it my normal voice, said Pooh eagerly. I don't think I've been on one of those. Where are we going to on this expedition? Expedition, said the little bear. It's got an X in it. Oh, said Pooh, I know, but he really didn't. We're going to discover the North Pole. Oh, said Pooh again. What's the North Pole? Just a thing you discovered, said Christopher Robin carelessly, not quite sure himself. Oh, I see. Are bears any good at discovering it? Of course they are. Rabbit and Congo and all of you. It's an expedition. That's what expedition means. A long line of everybody. You better tell the others to get ready while I see if my gun's all right. And we must bring along provisions. Bring what? Things to eat. Oh, said Pooh happily. I thought you said provisions. I'll go and tell them as he stumped off. The first person he met was Rabbit. Hello, Rabbit, he said. Is that you? Let's pretend it isn't, said Rabbit, and see what happens. I got a message for you. I'll give it to him. We're all going on an expedition with Christopher Robin. What is it and where are we going? Or where on to? A sort of boat, I think. Oh, that sort. We're going to discover a pole or something, or is it a mole? Anyway, we are going to discover it. We are, said Rabbit. It's tradition. And Nicola, you smell like a fresh summer's rain. And you are Gucci. I'm doing great today, darling, 'cause I had a tasty cookie. Perhaps it is icky. Yes. Yes, and we've got to bring things to eat with us, in case we want to eat them. Now go to Piglet's. Tell Congo, will you? He left Rabbit and hurried to Piglet's house. Piglet was sitting on the ground at the door of his house, blowing happily at a dandelion, wondering whether it would be this year or the next. Sometime or never. He had just discovered that'll be never, and he's trying to remember what it was, hoping it wasn't anything nice, when Pooh came up. Oh, Piglet, he said excitedly. We're going on an expedition, all of us, with things to eat, to discover something. To discover what? Said Piglet anxiously. Oh, just something. Something fierce. Christopher Robin didn't say anything about fierce. He just said it had an X. It isn't their necks that mind, said Piglet nervously. It's their teeth. But if Christopher Robin is coming, I don't mind anything. In a while, they were all ready at the top of the forest. The expedition started. First came Christopher Robin and Rabbit, then Piglet and Pooh, then Congo with Roo in the pocket, and Owl, then Eeyore, and at the end of a long line, all Rabbit's friends and relations. I didn't ask them, explained Rabbit carelessly. They just came, they always do. They can march at the end after Eeyore. What I say, said Eeyore, is that it's unsettling. I don't want to come on this expo, what Pooh said. I only came to oblige, but here I am. And if I am at the end of the expo, what are we talking about? Then let me be at the end, but if every time I want to sit down for a little rest, I have to brush away half a dozen of Rabbit's smaller friends and relations first, then this isn't an expo, whatever it is at all. It's simply a confused noise. That's what I say. I see what Eeyore means, said Owl, if you ask me. I'm not asking anybody, said Eeyore. I'm just telling everybody we can look for the North Pole, or we can play Here We Go, gathering nuts in May. With the end part of an ant's nest, it's all the same to me. There was a shout from the top of the line. Come on, called Christopher Robin. Come on, cried Pooh and Piglet. Come on, cried Owl. We're starting, said Rabbit. I must go, and he hurried off to the front of the expedition with Christopher Robin. All right, said Eeyore. We're going. Only don't blame me. So off they all went to discover the pole as they walked. They chatted to each other this and that, except for Pooh, who was making up a song. This was the first verse. He said to Piglet, who was ready with it. First verse of what? My song? What song? This song? Which one? Well, if you listen, Piglet, you'll hear it. How do you know I'm not listening? Pooh couldn't answer that one. So he began to sing. They all went off to discover the pole, Owl and Piglet and Rabbit and all. It's a thing you discover as if it's been told by Piglet, or Owl and Piglet and Rabbit and all. Eeyore, Christopher Robin, and Pooh, and the rabbit's relations all went too, and there the pole was none of them knew. Sing hey for owl and rabbit and all. And Confucius, always sweet Nicola, and life is a big adventure. And my oh my, so many redeems for you, Brad. Welcome in, sweetheart. I'll do the kisses now. And Brad, you really are my sweet, soft, cuddly, darling kitten. So breathtaking and wonderful. Good kitty. Good Brad. Good Brad. Good Brad. Good Brad. I'll do the sugar spray. And if it does appear that I'm rushing through redeems just because I want to make a little reading of this. There's that. Good kitty, Roxy. Good kitty, Roxy. Good kitty. UwU, 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 UwU. And hi, Roxy. How are you, my dear? I hope you're doing well tonight. I'm going to take a sip of my tea and get back to reading. Also, as a random side note, it seems that my not drinking tea during the stream is keeping me more awake. Well, caffeinated tea, that seems. Hush, hush, said Christopher Robin, turning round to Pooh. We're all just coming to a dangerous place. Hush, said Pooh, turning round quickly to Piglet. Hush, said Piglet to Conga. Hush, said Conga to Owl, while Roo said hush several times to himself quietly. Hush, said Owl to Eeyore. Hush, said Eeyore in a terrible voice to all of Rabbit's friends and relations, and hush they hastily said to each other down the line, until it got to the last one of all, and last and smallest friend and relation, so upset to find that the whole expectation seemed hushed to him, that he buried himself head first downwards in a crack in the ground, and stayed there for 2 days until the danger was over, then went home in a great hurry, and Whiffy went quietly afterwards. His name was Alexander Beetle, and they went to a stream which twisted and tumbled between high rocky banks, and Christopher Robin saw at once how dangerous it was. It's just the place, he explained, for an ambush. What sort of bush? Whispered Pooh to Piglet. A gorse bush? I mispronounced that. Oh dear Pooh, said Owl in a superior way. You don't know what an ambush is? Owl, said Piglet, looking round at him severely. Pooh's whisper is perfectly private whisper. There is no need to. An ambush is a sort of surprise. Is a gorbush sometimes? An ambush, as I was about to explain to Pooh, said Piglet, is a sort of surprise. If people jump out of you suddenly, that's an ambush, said Owl. It's an ambush, Pooh, when people jump at you suddenly, explained Piglet. Pooh, who now knew what an ambush was, said that a gorbush had sprung at him suddenly one day when he fell off a tree. He had taken 6 days to get the prickles out of himself. We are not taking gorbushes, said Owl a little crossly. I am, said Pooh. They were climbing very cautiously up the stream now, going from rock to rock, and soon they had gone a little way. They came up a place where the banks widened out on each side. so that on each side of the water there is a level strip of grass, on which they could sit down and rest. As soon as he saw this, Christopher Robin cried, "Halt!" and they all sat down and rested. "I think," said Christopher Robin, "that we ought to get our provisions now, so that we don't have so much to carry." "Eat all for what?" said Pooh. "All that we brought," said Piglet, getting to work. "That's a great idea," said Pooh. He got to work too. "Have you all got something?" asked Christopher Robin with his mouth full. And, "Hola, Zahi, mi amor. ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué tal? Mi grande hermosa, mi buena niña. ¿Qué tal?" "I hope you've been well. I'm reading a story right now." I'll translate something into Spanish in a minute. "Have you all got something?" asked Christopher Robin, with his mouth full. "All except for me," said Eeyore, as usual. He looked around at them in his melancholy way. "I suppose none of you were sitting on the thistle by any chance?" "I believe I am," said Pooh. "How?" He got up and looked behind him. "Yes, I was. I thought so." Here, I'll do a little translation for you. Zahi, mi amor. Here it is. Me ve muy bien, cariño. Oh, no, querida. Ahora mismo estoy ya leyendo cuentos para dormir. Oh, cuentos para dormir. There we go. Judging face? I don't judge. Now, or there you go. Back to this. Oh no. Sí, Zahi. Abi miel. Bonita niña. Buenos sueños. Or sueños. I don't remember. All except for me, said Eeyore. As usual, he looked around at them in his melancholy way. I suppose none of you are sitting on a thistle by chance. I believe I am, said Pooh. Ow, he got up and looked behind him. Yes, I was. I thought so. Thank you, Pooh. If you've quite finished with it, he moved across to Pooh's place, and began to eat. It don't do any of them good, sitting on them. He went on as he looked up munching. Takes all the life out of them. Remember that one time, all of you. A little consideration, a little thought for others makes all the difference. As soon as he had finished his lunch, Christopher Robin whispered to Rabbit. Rabbit said yes, of course. And they walked a little way up the stream together. I don't want the others to hear. Quite so, said Rabbit, looking important. I wondered, it's only Rabbit, I don't suppose you don't know. What does the North Pole look like? Well, said Rabbit, stroking his whiskers, now you're asking me. I did know once, I've sort of forgot. Christopher Robin said carelessly. It's a funny thing, but I've sort of forgotten too, although I did know once. Oh my. I suppose it's just a pole stuck in the ground. sure it has to be a pole. Because calling it a pole, if it's a pole, well, I think it would be sticking in the ground, shouldn't you? Because there'd be nowhere else to stick it. Yes, that's what I thought. The only thing, said Rabbit, is where is it sticking? That's what we're looking for, said Rabbit. Going back to the others, Pickle was lying on his back, sleeping peacefully. Roo was washing his face and paws in the stream, while Conga explained to everybody proudly that this was the first time he ever washed his face himself, and Owl was telling Conga an interesting anecdote of long words like encyclopedia and rhododendron, but to which Conga wasn't listening. I don't hold with all this washing, grumbled Eeyore, this modern behind-the-ears nonsense. What do you think, Pooh? Well, said Pooh, I think. But we shall never know what Pooh thought, for therefore came a sudden squeak from Roo, a splash, a loud cry of alarm from Conga. So much for washing, said Eeyore. Roo's fallen in, cried Rabbit. He and Christopher Robin came rushing to the rescue. Look at me swimming, squeaked Roo from the middle of the pool, and was hurried down a waterfall into the next pool. Are you all right, Roo, dear? Called Conga anxiously. Yes, said Roo, look at me swim. And down he went into the next waterfall, into another pool. Everybody was doing something to help. Oh, hi, Cloaky. Good morning. I hope your stream was well. I saw your wonderful notification. How are you, my dear, wonderful Cloaky? I'm currently reading some nice, cozy, wonderful stories tonight. In fact, I think I may do it some more. But, you're good. I'm glad to hear. Let me give you a shout out, dear, and I'll get right back to reading, okay? There you go, Cloaky. Enjoy, sweetheart. Now, where was I? But how are you? You get 3 free redeems. And, sweetheart, how was your stream, sweetie? There it is. To which Roo, from whichever pool he was in at the moment, was answering, Look at me swimming. Eeyore turned round and hung his tail over the first pool in which Roo fell, and with his back to the accident while grumbling quietly to himself, saying all this washing but to catch on to my tail at a roll. Roo, you'll be all right. And Christopher Robin and Rabbit came hurrying past Eeyore. They were calling out to the others in front of them. All right, Roo. I'm coming, called Christopher Robin. Get something across the stream lower down. Some of you fellows, cried Rabbit. But Pooh was getting somewhere. 2 pools below Roo, he was standing with a long pole in his paws. Conga came up and took one end of it, and between them they held across the lower part of the pool, and Roo, still bubbling proudly, Look at me swimming, drifted up against it and climbed out. Do you see me swimming? Squeaked Roo excitedly, while Conga scolded him, rubbed him down. Pooh, do you see me swimming? That's called swimming. What I was doing. Rabbit, did you see what I was doing? Swimming. Hello, Piglet, I say. Piglet, what do you think I was doing? Swimming. Christopher Robin, do you see me? But Christopher Robin wasn't listening. He was looking for Pooh. Pooh, he said, did you find that pole? Pooh looked at the pole in his hand. I just found it. I thought it would be useful. I just picked it up. Pooh, the expedition is over. You've found the North Pole. You were playing Pizza Simulator than playing Genshin. I hope it was all well, my sweet darling Cloaky. Oh, said Pooh. Eeyore was sitting with his tail in the water when they all got back to him. Tell Roo to be quick, somebody. My tail's getting cold. I don't want to mention it, but I just mentioned it. I don't want to complain, but there it is. My tail's cold. Here I am, squeaked Roo. Oh, there you are. Did you see me swimming? Eeyore took his tail in the water and swished it side to side. As expected, he said. Lost all feeling. Numbed it. That's what's done. Numbed it. Well, as long as nobody minds, I suppose it's all right. Poor old Eeyore. I'll dry it for you, said Christopher Robin. He took out his handkerchief and rubbed it up. Thank you, Christopher Robin. You're the only one who seems to understand about tails. They don't think. That's the matter with some of the others. They've no imagination. A tail isn't a tail to them. It's just an extra bit at the back. Never mind, Eeyore, said Christopher Robin, rubbing his hardest. Is that better? It's feeling more like a tail, perhaps. It belongs again, if you know what I mean. Hello, Eeyore, said Pooh, coming up to them with his pole. Hello, Pooh. Thank you for asking, but I shall be able to use it again in a day or two. Use what? What are we talking about? I wasn't talking about anything, said Pooh, looking puzzled. My mistake again. I thought you were saying how sorry you were about my tail being all numb, and could you do anything to help? So I don't lose my place. Oh, we're nearing the end, sweethearts. How wonderful. No, said Pooh, that wasn't me. He said. He thought for a little more than suggested, hopefully. Perhaps it was somebody else. Well, thank him for me when you see him. Pooh looked anxiously at Christopher Robin. Pooh's found the North Pole, said Christopher Robin. Isn't that lovely? Pooh looked modestly down. Is that it? Said Eeyore. Yes, said Christopher Robin. Is that what you're looking for? Yes, said Pooh. Oh, said Eeyore. Well, anyhow, it didn't rain, he said. They stuck a pole into the ground, and Christopher Robin tied a message onto it. North Pole, discovered by Pooh. Pooh found it. They all went home again, and I think, but I'm not quite sure, that Roo had a hot bath and went straight to bed. But Pooh went back on his own house, feeling very proud of what he had done, had a little something to revive himself. And that, darlings, was Winnie the Pooh, Chapter 8. I hope you all enjoyed that. I know. I never knew either, but a friend always enjoyed Winnie the Pooh. So, around about this time last year, I was reading Winnie the Pooh. It was very wonderful. I loved it greatly. Always, Tiana. What would you like me to read next? I can read the next chapter. Chapter 9. It's about the same length. So 30-ish minutes. And because it's a 30-minute story and I work tomorrow, that may be the last story, but I have some other ones if you want. There's Snow White, Peter Rabbit, My Father's Dragon, Jack and the Beanstalk, 3 Little Pigs. Whatever I prefer? Oh my. I don't really know what I prefer. How am I to pick? That's so hard, sweetie. My oh my. 3 Little Pigs? Okay. Oh, I forgot. Nope, I didn't forget. Okay, I'll just go quickly change the title. Three Little Pigs, the story of The Free Little Pigs featured here has been adapted from different sources and from childhood memory. The primary sources are from English fairy tales, retold by Flora Annie Steele, 1922, with illustrations by L. Leslie Brooke from the 1904 version. This story is featured in our favorite fairy tales and children's stories. Exclamation point burp. First one gets a kiss. Once upon a time, there was an old mother pig who had 3 little pigs, and not enough food to feed them. So when they were old enough, she sent them out into the world to seek their fortunes. The first little pig was very lazy. He didn't want to work at all, and he built his house out of straw. The second little pig worked a little harder, but he is somewhat lazy too, and he built his house out of sticks. Then they sang and danced and played together for the rest of the day. Okay, a kiss for you, darling Tiana. The third little pig worked hard all day and built his house with bricks. It was a sturdy house complete with a fine fireplace and chimney, and it looked like it could withstand the strongest winds. The next day, the wolf happened to pass. Oh, I forgot. The second pig worked a little harder, but was somewhat lazy too, and he built his house out of sticks. Then they sang and danced and played together for the rest of the day. The third little pig worked hard all day and built his house with bricks. It was a sturdy house complete with a fine fireplace and chimney, and it looked like it could withstand the strongest winds. The next day, a wolf happened to pass by the lane where the 3 little pigs lived, and he saw the straw house and smelled the pig inside. He thought the pig would be mighty fine meal. His mouth began to water, so he knocked on the door and said, little pig, let me in. But the little pig saw the wolf's big paw through the keyhole, so he answered back, no, not by the hairs of my chin. Then the wolf showed his teeth and said, then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down. So he huffed and he puffed and he blew the house down. The wolf opened his jaws very wide and down as hard as he could, but the first little pig escaped and ran away to hide with the second little pig. The wolf continued down the lane. As he passed by the second house made of sticks, he saw the house and he smelled the pigs inside, and his mouth began to water as he thought about the fine dinner they would make. So he knocked on the door and said, little pigs, let me in. But the little paw pigs saw the wolf's pointy ears through the keyhole, and they said, no, not by the hairs of our chin. So the wolf showed his teeth and said, they'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down. So he huffed and he puffed and he blew the house down. The wolf was greedy, and he tried to catch both pigs at once. But he was too greedy and got neither. His big jaws clamped down nothing but air, and the 2 pigs scrambled away as fast as their little hooves could carry them. The wolf chased them down the lane, and he almost caught them, but they made it to the brick house and slammed the door closed before the wolf could catch them. The 3 little pigs were very frightened. They knew the wolf wanted to eat them, and that was very, very true. The wolf hadn't eaten all day, and he had worked up a large appetite chasing the pigs round, and you could smell all 3 of them inside, and he knew that the little pigs would make a lovely feast. Mm-hmm. So the wolf knocked on the door and said, little pigs, let me in, let me in. But the little pigs saw the wolf's narrow eyes through the keyhole, so they answered back, no, 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 not by the hairs of our chin. So the wolf showed his teeth and said, I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house down. Random side note, darlings. How much of this book was copied and pasted by the author? Then he huffed and he puffed and he huffed and he puffed and he huffed, and he puffed and he puffed, but he could not blow the house down. At last he was so out of breath that he couldn't huff and he couldn't puff anymore. So he stopped to rest and thought a bit, but this was too much. The wolf danced about with rage and swore he would come down the chimney and eat the little pig for his supper. While he was climbing on the little roof, the little pig made up a blazing fire and put a big pot of water to boil. Then, just as the wolf was coming down the chimney, the little pig pulled off the lid and plop, in fell the wolf into the scalding water. So the little piggy put on the cover again and boiled the wolf up, and the 3 little pigs ate him for supper. How very morbid. I know, broski. Like, it was so deep, broski. What story now, I wonder? Rapunzel? 5 little pigs. Well, I never read The 5 Little Pigs, have you? By Joseph Martin ᶠᵉᵐᵒî. Yeah, never read that one before. We'll do that. Exactly. 5 Little Pigs by Joseph Martin ᶠᵉᵐᵒî. Oh, I forgot to add a marker. Oh my. Leche. Thank you for the biddies, sweetheart. Is there a story you like read? You can give me a link or the name and I'll read it for you, sweetheart. Oh, this is a 5. Yeah, this makes more sense once I read it. Thank you, darling. Having you gift it really does mean a lot to me, as pretty much all the money from Twitch goes either back into the stream or for food for me. I haven't a real broke month, you know, because last time I used it, I bought a salad because I had no food. But that's okay. Slay. But I think I'm just going to save Twitch money for a bit and just buy triggers. That'll be okay. Or put it towards a new model, because why not have more? The 5 Little Pigs by Joseph Martin ᶠᵉᵐᵒî. This little piggy went to market. This little piggy stayed home. This little piggy had roast beef. This little piggy had none. This little piggy cried wee 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 all the way home. The little pig who went to market There was once a family of 5 pigs, and Mrs. Pig, their mother, loved them all very dearly. Some of these little pigs were very good, and took a great deal of trouble to please her. The eldest pig was so active and useful that he was called Mr. Pig. One day he went to market with his cart full of vegetables, but Rusty the donkey began to show his bad temper before he had gone off very far. On the road, all the coaxing and the whipping would not make him move, so Mr. Pig took him out with the shafts, and being very strong, drew the cart himself. And when he got there, the other pigs began to laugh. But they did not laugh so loudly. Mr. Pig told them all his struggles on the road. Mr. Pig lost no time in selling his vegetables, and very soon after Rusty came trotting into the market. He now seemed willing to take his place in the cart. Mr. Pig started for home without delay. When he got there, Mrs. Pig told him his story. He told Mrs. Pig his story, and she called him to her best and most worthy son. Have a hug too, sweetheart. The little pig who stayed at home. This little pig very much wanted to go with his brother, but he was so mischievous that he could not be trusted far away. His mother made him stay at home, and told him to keep a good fire while she went out to the miller's to buy some flour. But as soon as he was alone, instead of learning his lessons, he began to tease the poor cat. When he got to the bellows, he cut the leather with a knife so as to see where the wind came from, and when he could not find this out, he began to cry. Sweet Spoons has been here, but they're having a migraine, so they're just resting. And began to cry. After this, he broke all of his brother's toys. He forced his drumstick through the drum. He tore off the tail from a kite. He pulled off the horse's head. What? An olive. Interesting. Then he went to the cupboard and ate the jam. When Mrs. Pig came home, she sat down by the fire and, feeling very tired, soon fell asleep. Do they? I want to try that. Try a hard-boiled egg. I kind of like yolks. I might try a soft-boiled too. No sooner had she done this than this bad little pig got a long handkerchief and tied her to the chair. But soon she woke up and found that all the mischief he had been doing. Soon she saw the damage he had done to his brother's playthings, so she quickly brought out his thickest, heaviest birch, and gave his naughty little pig such a beating as he did not forget for a long time. The past, everyone. And hi, Puppy Grim. How are you, my dear? I hope you're well, relaxing tonight, and remembering that you are loved, my wonderful darling. A little pig who had roast beef. This little pig was a very good and careful fellow. He gave his mother scarcely any trouble, and always took a long pleasure in doing all she bade him. Here you see him sitting down with clean hands and face to some nice roast beef, while his brother, the idle pig, who is standing on a stool in the corner with the dunce's cap on, has none. He sat down and quietly learned his lesson. It's always you, Puppy Grim. Always. And asked his mother to hear him repeat it. And this he did so well that Miss Pig stroked him on the ears and forehead, and called him a good little pig. After this, he asked her to allow him to help her make tea. He brought everything she wanted, lifted off the kettle from the fire, and without spilling a drop either on his toes or carpet. By and by he went out, after asking his mother's leave. He played with his hoop. He had not gone far when he saw an old blind pig who, with his hat in his hand, was crying at the loss of his dog. So he put his hand in the pocket and found a halfpenny. Wow, that's how old this story is, or a halfpenny in modern English, which he gave the old poor pig. It was for such a thoughtful conduct as this was his mother often gave the little pig roast beef. We now come to the little pig who had none. This was a most obstinate and willful little pig. His mother had set him to learn his lesson, but no sooner had she gone out into the garden than he tore his book into pieces. When his mother came back, he ran off to the streets to play with other idle little pigs like himself. After this, he quarreled with one of the pigs and got a sound thrashing. Being afraid to go home, he stayed out till it was quite dark and caught a severe cold. He was taken home and put to bed, and had to take a lot of nasty physic. My oh my. The little pig who cried wee wee all the way home. This little pig went fishing. Now he had been told not to go to the farmer Grumpy's grounds, who did not allow anyone to fish on any part of his river, but in spite of what he had been told, the foolish little pig went there. He soon caught a very large fish, and while he was carrying it home, Father Grumpy came running along with his great whip. He quickly dropped the fish, but the farmer caught him, and as he laid his whip over his back for some time, the little pig ran off, crying, wee, 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 all the way home. Now, darling, feel free to do any redeems you would like. In the meanwhile, I will be just existing, you know? So, if you ever redeem, just tell me so, okay? Okay. I have a few questions for you, sweethearts. So, we have quite a few. Oh, you had a lot of snow today. For me, it's been cold, but we only had snow on Halloween, because we always do. And I have a question. Would you like to go to someone I've never been to before? I've seen them around and I'm sure they're real cozy. So, I'll actually ask you this, Sweet Spoons. Nini Starlight or Celeste Celia? it to kind of figure out who. I'll put their names in the chat, okay? That way you can figure it out. Random question for you, Mickey. Soleil or Soleil? I can't really remember how to pronounce it. So, we have this darling, and we have this darling. Soleil and Soleil. Okay. That's confusing, but okay. Whoa. Thank you, Leche. You get many free DMs or triggers. It's very considerate of you, sweetheart. They'll pretty much all go into interesting things like ASMR. Thank you, sweetheart. That means a lot. Thank you. So, spoons. Which one is more cozy? I want both are nice. You rate them both for 4. I think I might do Nini, because I've seen them around and I want to make sure that they're at least the coziest they can possibly be. Also, Twitch ads. Ugh. Why? Oh, thank you, sweet Leche. Always. I'm going to do a little bit more water noises. 3 pre-rolls. Or am I in some mid-roll of theirs? Oh my. There's one thing I hate, it's ads. I don't really feel like I'm going to okay, be real quick, sweetie, because I just want to make sure that I don't miss anything real important, because normally when I get DMs on stream, it's... Oh. Okay, well, thank you for that. Get our own. Let me just, rain? Yeah, if you want to know, it's cozy rain with fireplace. But thank you, sweetheart spoons. Oh, it's not an issue. I just don't want everyone to be aware. Anyway, and Tiny Burger, hello. I'm about to just go, but how are you, my dear? I hope you're well. If you want a free trigger, just ask, as I'm about to, yeah, if you want a free trigger, sweet Tiny Burger, just ask, as I am just about to do something fun. Okay, you like my hair? Well, let me go show you something in a moment. Okay. Another ad. Ooh. Oh, they're in a minute ad break. Okay. No, they're going to end stream soon. And looks like they just started. Okay. When I go do kisses and Tiny Burger, if you like this model's hair, let me show you the other model real quick. And good night, sweetest springer. Many hugs and kisses, sweetheart. So, I think I will try this Celeste, because they seem like a beautiful, darling person. Okay, so, my cute darlings, I love you all. Here is the raid message. Well, ending, because I'm lazy and I just made it all. So there's all my socials. Here's the raid message. If you want to see me anywhere else, there you go. Good night, sweetheart Spunya. Good night, sweetheart Leche. Thank you very much. It means a lot, sweetie. Especially for a furry like me. Good night, sweetest spoons. Good night, good boys. Good night, good girls. Bob noche. Buenas noches. Bonne nuit. Gute Nacht. Schlaf schön. Traum schön. Bussi Baba. Schatz. Oh, yeah, and copy the raid message. And good night, darling Trey. Bye bye, darlings.